meeting, and we will start our Selma City Council regular meeting. It's January 20th, 2026 at 6:05 p.m. Thank you, everybody. We were in a closed session and we went a little over tonight, so thank you for your understanding on that. We're in the Selma City Council chambers at 1710 Tucker Street in Selma, California, 93662. The teleconference phone number is 301-715-8592. The webinar ID is 891-6864-5005. When on the phone, if you wish to address the council during the public comment portion of the agenda, press star 9 to raise your hand and we will select you from the meeting queue. Press star 6 to unmute and mute yourself. Notice to meeting attendees, members of the audience shall not engage in disorderly or boisterous conduct, including the utterance of threatening or abusive language or other acts which disturb, disrupt, or impede or otherwise render the orderly conduct of a city council meeting infeasible. Tonight's invocation is by Pastor Jose Alvarez from the Iglesia Antioquia. Welcome, Pastor. Again, thank you.
Good evening, City Council and Mayor. We just want to thank the Lord for another beautiful day. Praise the Lord. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus Christ, we just thank you right now, Heavenly Father, for this awesome privilege that we have, Heavenly Father, just to come before you right now and just deposit everything, Heavenly Father, in your hands. We ask you, Heavenly Father, to use the people that you appointed, Heavenly Father, to be in front of our city and, Heavenly Father, govern before your people, Heavenly Father. We just ask you right now in the name of Jesus Christ that you take hold of this meeting, Heavenly Father, and you direct us with your Holy Spirit. And we, Heavenly Father, love you with all our hearts, and we thank you. And we all say, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Everybody, please stand, face the flag.
Ready? Salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty.
Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Avalos.
Here.
Councilmember Oseguera.
Here.
Councilmember Trujillo. Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Here.
Mayor Robertson.
Here. Potential conflicts of interest. Any council member who has a potential conflict of interest may now identify the item and recuse themselves from discussing and voting on the matter. Agenda changes or deletions to better accommodate members of the public or inconvenience in the order of presentation. Items on the agenda may not be presented or acted on in the order listed. Additions to the agenda may be added only pursuant to California Government Code, Section 54954.2b. City Attorney, do we have any such changes tonight?
No, sir.
Thank you, City Attorney. With that, we'll move on to oral communications. At this time, any member of the public may address the City Council regarding any item on the regular meeting agenda over which the council has jurisdiction. No action or discussion will be taken on any item not on the agenda. Issues raised will be referred to the city manager for review. Members of the public are asked to limit their remarks to 3 minutes. Does anybody have any oral communications at this time? And come on up.
I was going to say something, Joe.
I'm going to talk about my Niners. We don't talk about sad things. I just want to introduce our newest clergy here in the city of Selma. Her name is Leonela Robles. She's joining me tonight. She'll be helping us with some of the vocation duties. So you guys won't just see me. You guys get some new
New blood.
young blood.
Yeah.
Amen. So we just want to introduce her and just let all of you guys know she's at your guys' call. You guys need something, she's ready to serve. Okay.
Well, thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you. We'll see you at a future meeting. Anybody online or on the phone with oral communications at this time?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this time.
Thank you. With that, we will move on to our special presentations. Our first special presentation this evening is the City of Selma recognizing retirees with over 20 years of service. Deputy City Manager Fowler.
Members of council, this past year we had 3 retirees that we'd like to recognize tonight. The first one is from the fire department. I'm going to turn it over to Chief Webster.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. It's my honor and privilege tonight to be able to recognize two members of the fire department that have been serving our community for many years. The first member that I would like to recognize is Deborah Rowe. Unfortunately, she is not able to join us this evening, but we still wanted to take a moment just to highlight the years of service that she provided to this community. Debbie Rowe began her career with the City of Selma on March 11th of 2002 as a firefighter EMT, and over her 23-year career, she rose through the ranks and concluded her service as a fire captain and retired in June of 2025. And so with that, we will be providing her with a cup and a cutting board that commemorates her years of service. It is a cutting board, correct? Yes. And so with that, we just want to congratulate her and wish her the best in her retirement.
Sounds good.
All right, and the next member of the department is Caesar Luna. Caesar, if you'd like to come up front so we can put you in the hot seat, and then if you'd like any of your family and friends to join you as well, have them. So Caesar began his career with the City of Selma February 22nd of 2005 as a temporary firefighter. And through dedication and commitment to public service, he advanced within the fire department and concluded his career as a fire engineer. I would like to add to that, during my time here with the city, the 2 years, Caesar was in a special assignment for that time. And I feel like every month or two, he would add a new assignment to those assignments. And so we joked about updating his business cards kind of throughout that 2-year period to all of the talents and special things that he provided this community. I think he was code enforcement. I think he was part of fire prevention. He was the front desk secretary, I think, at some point. He helped in the planning department, I think a little bit in HR and finance. And so he was truly a jack of all trades and really supported the city with every need that we needed. And so Caesar retired this August, or this past August of 2025, after 20 years of service with the city. And his service and contributions to the fire department and the community were greatly appreciated. So congratulations on your retirement.
Speech.
Yeah, we got to hear this. Caesar. You got 3 minutes. It's all.
I only need about 30 seconds. No, I'm just kidding. Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. First of all, I just want to say thank you for all that you've done for me, what you've done for the community. I had 20 years full-time. I had 3 years of reserve and temp time. So I was here quite a bit. Grew up in Sanger, moved here in 98, met my wife. We were married, have 4 kids. And Selma is home to them, is home to me, even though we do live down the street. I love this place. Like you guys gave me nothing but great memories. Nothing bad to say about this town. I really appreciate you guys supporting me all these years. Thank you to the City Hall for putting up with me for the last year and a half. I know it was a lot. I like to stay busy. Obviously, they know that I stay busy. That's why they gave me a different task to do. But now that I'm retired, my wife keeps me busy. She has a lot of stuff for me to do. I do still contribute to the city. I am coaching all the sports in Indianola. I coach the junior high, baseball, softball, basketball teams, and I'm still doing the Babe Ruth. So I will still be part of the city. Whenever I see you guys, I will always wave. I will always be here for you guys, and I'll continue to represent the city as well as I have been in the past 23 years. So thank you for everything.
Thank you, Caesar.
Caesar, hey, don't worry. I won't roast you, okay? All right. Now, I'll say one thing about you, Caesar. You became part of the city of Selma real quick, and you helped the youth in our community, and you help your comrades. in the fire department. You came up the ranks, you were multitask. The wife made you better when you married her. Okay. You know, but overall, Caesar, I know your caliber. You're a person that doesn't stand down. And you stay busy and you're proactive already in our city. And we want to continue your people like you are kind of diamond in the rough. Okay. And in our city, you know, not many people of your caliber out there. And as coming personally, you're a great super person. Okay. And that's what we're bringing you here. Next week, we're going to roast you.
I remember coming in, seeing Caesar at the front. They're always nice, always welcoming. He also said, "I'm like Navy SEAL security. You're not getting back here unless you get through me." Always fun and very professional. He did our inspection on our building and see him in the fire department, a great professional. But moments I remember are talking about mushball, talking about family, just a great person, a great family man, and a huge member of the family of Selma. So you will be missed, but you won't be forgotten, and you're always welcome. And I know we'll be seeing you a lot in the future. So thank you very much for your service. Would you like to come up and get a picture with your cutting board and
Yeah. We'll take your cup.
cup?
Oh, back row, got a little more.
And that's a photo bomb right there. Congratulations, senior.
Thank you.
Good job, sir. Good seeing you.
Hey,
Stay around. No beard, no mustache. I mean, what's
I know. We didn't recognize you. Ain't first.
he's undercover. Undercover retired. Okay.
Next up, I want to turn it over to our police chief.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'd love to introduce Robin Lewis. And if you know about Robin, she does not like to be the center of attention. So I know she feels very uncomfortable right now. However, Robin started with the Selma Police Department in 1997. She started working in records, a transcriptionist, then records. And what a lot of people don't know is, our law enforcement professionals are out there on the streets, they're front and center, the most visible form of government. What most people don't know is it's our records division, our support personnel that make things truly happen. They ensure our cases get filed at district attorney's office on time, that our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed. We cannot do what we do without our support personnel, especially records, especially when I think last year we cut 7,000 police reports, a little over 7,000, which is a large amount of work going through one small office. I will say, though, when I got here in 2022, Robin was talking about retiring, and I begged and pleaded with her to please stay a little longer, and I would try to find her something a little bit less stressful. And she became my administrative assistant, a role that she was unfamiliar with, and me never having an assistant before was unfamiliar with me. So we learned a lot together, we grew a lot together, but she still kind of oversaw records for me. Because if we don't get her reporting into the Department of Justice, we put ourselves in a precarious position. That said, Robin was crucial in getting the police department where we're at today. She truly is the gatekeeper for the police department. She just retired December 31st of 2025, and we're already feeling the loss. I don't know where things go. I don't know how to get them processed, and it's a little frustrating. But I am extremely happy that Robin is retired, enjoying her grandchildren, and just getting her new home all situated. And I just want everyone to know the value that Robin Lewis brought to the Selma Police Department, and she will truly be missed. Thank you, Robin.
Okay, you're on.
You're on, Robin.
Awesome. Good job. Would you like to come up here with your family and get a picture?
Just the grandkids, Robin? Little grandkids? Oh,
Have you guys all move forward a little bit?
Every time I click the picture.
Robin?
Bye, Nana. I can't.
I know, it all emptied out.
Okay.
I'd also like to thank the departments, police and fire, for coming out to support their retirees too tonight. That was a nice showing. Thank you, guys.
Great to see the department support. Really nice. Thank you, guys. Great support. Okay, with that, we are going to move on to our next presentation tonight. Our next special presentation is an EMS Supervisor Diaz providing a presentation regarding the implementation of LifePak 35 cardiac monitors and Lucas devices.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, I'm going to start this off. They have some equipment to set up. And so I'm going to fill some time while they're setting that up. One, I want to thank Councilman Avalos for suggesting that we bring this presentation to council. Tonight is really a representation of community support and community investment into public safety. And the investment that the City of Selma has made and the partnership that we have with the Selma Healthcare District is it's truly incredible. The technology and the equipment that this community has and that we serve this community with. And so before I ruin all the details, I'm going to turn it over to our EMS supervisor, Daniel Diaz. And Diaz, you've got to grab a microphone because everybody else has got to be able to hear it.
Good morning, Mayor, council members. Daniel Diaz, EMS Supervisor at Selma Fire Department. I have here with me Kirk. He is our striker rep. So he was the person responsible for us buying all this equipment, making sure that we're educated and know how to use all these things. I have a presentation for you guys this morning or this afternoon, this evening, and we'll go through it slide by slide. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to stop me at any time.
Okay.
All right. First slide. So with these LifePak 35 devices, things that it's going to be able to do, it's going to be able to enhance patient safety, support our first responders. We have these devices as of today out on all of our fire engines and ambulances that respond to the city and surrounding communities. And with this new LifePak 35 and the Lucas device, it's going to just contribute to investing in the technology that is out there today that's top of the market, and it's just going to have better patient outcomes at the end of the day. Next slide, please. Why this matters, this device detects heart attacks really, really early, and it helps during cardiac emergencies and every other emergency that we run to. With cardiac emergencies specifically, time is of the essence. So the faster we can identify, the faster we can treat, the faster we can do these things, the better outcome for our patients and for our constituents. First responders, we need reliable tools, and these things are the best thing on the market as of today. And our old devices, they were just getting a little bit dated. You know what I mean? The age of some of them were kind of past their prime. And with these, we got a whole new fleet of equipment. So everything is brand new. Everything's out of the box in service today. And with this modern improvement, it just improves, like I said, outcomes and patient safety. Next slide, please. What is this monitor? It is a portable defibrillator, and it's used by EMS staff and firefighters. Tracks heart attacks and vital signs. Delivers life-changing shocks, and it also is on every response vehicle that we have out in the city today. Next slide. The biggest thing that I like about this cardiac monitor is the new technology to identify heart attacks. So what Stryker did was they took years of patient data and they collected it and they put it into this monitor. And if you enter the age and gender of a patient, it'll tell you what their heart is supposed to look like for that patient in that age. And with that, with these new STJ Insight is what they call it for detecting heart attacks. You can see in the red is where it's abnormal, where it's high, where the defect is in the heart. And it tells you where it is, what it is. And that way, when we're giving a report to the doctors and nurses at the receiving facilities, we can identify, hey, this is where the problem is lying. And then they can treat the patients even faster. So it's really good. And now it's able to transfer this data from this cardiac monitor to our PCRs, which is our documentation for all of our patients. So this data just transmits now electronically, no paper. We're not killing any more trees. Everything's going via Wi-Fi to the tablets and transmitting over to our PCRs so the staff can get it at the hospitals, which is really, really good for them too. Next slide, please. These are easy to use under pressure. As you can see, we are touchscreen now. So everything is automated by touch, therapy, everything like that. So it's very, very easy to use. We had a training with all 3 of our shifts. All of our staff went through the training, so everybody's familiar with how to use it. The touchscreen is a really, really good feature. Going forward, we have, when we're working in emergencies, we have gloves on. We have, we're sweaty, if there's blood, and, all those things. This monitor will work under all those types of conditions. It has clear instructions and alerts. So we have this red light up here. If there's a issue, say if I had this on a patient right now and their heart rate went to an abnormal rate, it'll light up, flash, and let me know, hey, check your patient. This is what's going on. Take a look. And it'll make all those alerts on its own. It works in the heat, rain, rough conditions. We're out on the side of the road in motor vehicle accidents. We can have this monitor on the side of the road with us. It's very reliable. And with the new battery settings on it, the power lasts a long time. I think it can go, how many hours, Kirk?
9 hours.
9 hours. If I just left it on, it can go 9 hours straight.
And then how's it rechargeable? Plug or USB, or how do you recharge?
Rechargeable. So there's lithium batteries in the back. We take them out, plug them into our chargers at the station.
Oh, one of
lock
those
them with new
holders
plugs.
and plug it in.
Correct. Yep. Next slide, please. Compatibility with Lucas devices. So the biggest positive for us getting this LifePak 35, it is very, very compatible with the Lucas device, which we got 3 Lucas devices purchased by the Selma Healthcare District this last year. And these things work wonders. Save your back for safety for our staff and better patient outcomes for patients that are in cardiac arrest. So last year, before we got these Lucas devices, over a span of about 6 months, in comparison, our ROS rate, which is return of spontaneous circulation, was about 11%. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 6%. Since we've had these devices, it went up to 18%. So we've had quite a good jump in that span of 6 months. So I can't wait.
What does that mean?
So over the span of 6 months, we've had more outcomes of ROSC and return to spontaneous circulation. So where we get pulses back
That
in the
means
field.
people were cardiac, they were
They
arresting
were
and you
arrested
brought them
and
back.
then we got pulses back during that cardiac arrest.
Mayor, I'm gonna interrupt real quick because this is a really important stat for our community. What that means truly in layman's terms is that your survival rate, if you go into cardiac arrest, our statistics were showing about a 5% survival rate. With the use of that device, that survival rate went up to 18%, which is a significant increase for that. Yeah.
That's huge.
Since I got you on that note,
Yes, sir.
you know, like that machine will identify, if the light lights up, this machine on the other side, in case they go to cardiac arrest, this thing is ready to roll.
So
And then,
when we use these things together, this monitor has what's called CPR Insight. So I can have the pads on there and I can see the underlying rhythm while that machine is going. So typically in the past, if we were doing CPR, it would show up as, a heartbeat. It looked like a heartbeat or a rhythm, or organized rhythm. But now we can, the cardiac monitor is smart enough to know, okay, that is CPR and this is the underlying rhythm. So now we know if we need to deliver a shock, we can do that. We don't have to stop CPR to see where we're at in our cardiac arrest protocol and treatment. So we can just keep moving through it. And now, typically when we would do CPR, you'd have to, everybody step back so we could shock. This thing could shock through that machine while it's going. So never. And then when it comes to, we call it chest compression fraction, how much time we actually spend on the chest doing CPR. When those numbers are high, you have better results of getting return of spontaneous circulation, so which will improve survival rates. So that's really, really beneficial that we can use these things together and do that. The other things, with the Lucas device specifically, for safety, when we're driving down code 3 to the hospital, someone's not standing up back there doing CPR, not unrestrained. Now this device can take over that firefighter or that EMT that would
That's
do
safer.
CPR, and now there's no one there standing. Everybody's buckled in and
Much
safe.
better.
Very, very safe. Next slide, please. Benefits for Selma and direct impact to our community. So with these things, faster treatment, faster diagnosis, increased survival chances in cardiac patients, improved confidence for first responders, and aligns with Selma with modern technology and standards. Next slide, please. Financial responsibility, smart long-term investment, durable equipment. With these, we purchased a protection plan. So after the first year warranty, I think we have 6 years of a protection plan. So if anything breaks, anything goes wrong, we just let them know, they replace the part. And if I have to send it in, they'll send me a loaner in replacement. So we have a monitoring service always. It reduces maintenance and replacement cost and avoids outdated fill-in equipment. So we've had some pretty old equipment that we had out in the field prior to this, and now all those are gone and everything's brand new. So, which is great. And we know everything is the same age. We had an issue of replacing equipment because we bought things at different times just because of our EMS division grew so fast. And now we're at a clean slate. Now every 6 to 10 years, we can replace these things all at once. Next slide, please. Risk liability, accurate monitoring reduces treatment errors. So that's a big thing. If we know what we're treating, when we're treating, it reduces liability. Clear data supports proper medical decisions, so we know what we're doing. Helps protect the city from any liability concerns and demonstrates commitment to public safety. Next slide, please. Community confidence, showing Selma values safety. Residents expect modern emergency equipment. So if they respond to another call in another area and they have a new equipment, we don't. Why not? Well, now we have top of the line stuff for our citizens. Supports EMS morale and retention. When it comes to recruitment, equipment is big. What are we working with? People always want to work with the new things. And now that we have this new monitor, we'll be able to recruit, and keep people here. So they don't want to leave to go work, another place that has a device like this.
Who does have that device? What other cities have?
Just Coalinga, us, Sequoia Safety Council and Reedley, and I believe Dinuba bought one, but everybody's going to them nowadays. If they have the old LifePak 15, this is the upgrade that everybody's going to. Next slide.
so I got you on that note. How about other cities that have the
Lucas device.
device?
There's a few other agencies that are local that have them. I believe Kingsburg has them. So I was a big proponent of getting these. I ran a cardiac arrest when I was still in the ambulance in the city of Kingsburg, and they had one.
Yeah.
And it was my first time ever using it. And I ended up getting ROSC on that patient, return to spontaneous circulation. And just how easy that cardiac arrest ran is pause, play, and it was just very, very, very simple. And
What now is both machines working together.
Yep.
And then given data, and then any kind of medication that machine, prescribed heart attack, geographic or calling with a doctor and everything, that data goes back to the hospital real
Mhm.
quick.
Good.
Any treatment they require, okay, this didn't work, we can use this, this is a game changer I want to say in the ambulance service and in our firefighters out there, because, every unit, time is critical. Back in the days, you had to get to the house within 5, 10,
Mhm.
12 minutes. If a person has a heart attack, what's the time frame? What is it? 12 minutes, 18 minutes? What is it? 18 minutes?
They usually call it like a golden hour when you had to get them from their residence to, wherever they need to go. But time is of the essence in any of those things. It kind of depends on the patient as well. You can get calls where somebody's having a heart attack and, they're stable all the way to the hospital or stable-ish. And there's calls where those patients deteriorate quick and it could be a matter of minutes. And, we need to get, a good diagnosis and get to the appropriate hospital. So with cardiac related emergencies, there's only a few hospitals we can choose. So Fresno Community, St. Agnes, and then Kauai Delta are the hospitals in our area. If someone's having a heart attack that we can go to because they have the 24-hour service for their cath labs and stuff to treat people. So if someone's having a heart attack, I can't take them to Selma. And if it's 5 o'clock and it's traffic and I have to get from here to Fresno Community, I need to know the sooner the better because that traffic's going to be there no matter what. So with those factors, this thing's just going to identify that early. And now we know, okay, let's choose a hospital that we need to get to that can treat this patient appropriately.
And also what's good about it, that other machine is actually can set up for the child as well.
So, the Luke's device is based on a size. So
Yeah.
bigger kids, I would say more teenagers, but even small adults, it might not work on just because of the
Yeah.
size and how deep that thing needs to go. So, but there is definitely some benefit in that factor. If it fits, we can use it.
Now, the next question I'm gonna ask is your radius is it still 25-mile radius? Is that what it is still? Chief, your response time and
Are you referring to our service area? Our service area
as
goes
far as the
to,
mutual agreement, is that 25-mile?
yeah, it's 125 square miles, goes towards the middle of Parlier, up above Fowler, down towards Kingsburg. It covers a pretty significant area, not based on a specific radius, but a specific footprint.
And when I first seen it, guys, I'll be honest with you guys. That's why I had these guys come over here, is I want the council to see, but also I want the public on the screen to see, is this is a life-saving machine. This is something that old school is now modernized now. This is about saving lives real quick. And by the other machine over here, it takes a lot, it takes a time off. Another person can do something else, put an IV in, whatever,
Correct.
another response, whatever. The game has now made it better for the victim. It's taking place, the patient, So I like what I saw, and I wanted the council to see, but I also wanted the public, let them know that the Selma Healthcare Board is, assisting these fire department and our city here, not only just at Selma, but also our surrounding areas to help people survive. We live around our stunning communities. We're going to grow together, but also to understand each other is to help each other. And that's what you're about, guys. And I thank you.
So just in summary, life-saving technology we got here, easy to use, highly reliable, trusted nationwide, tested, directly benefits the Selma residents and the surrounding communities. And it's a responsible use of city resources that we have these on our apparatus now. And that's all I got, I believe. Next slide. Any questions for us?
So I was here in January of 2025 when EMS Supervisor Diaz, and you had someone else with you. You demonstrated that to the Selma Healthcare District, meaning I was sitting right back there where our Selma Healthcare District board member is, Lorraine Avalos, who is an RN in her working life. So This just shows again our community working together as a team to make things better, make life better for residents and for folks who work here. And this is a big element to show that we really care. And I remember that night, it wasn't a question of if you were going to get the grant money, it was how much do you need and how fast can we get these things? What a total game changer. I guess I'm just amazed that the other cities haven't purchased as many, but you know, the physical reality is that they're expensive, and really hope that they get those as well. Has AI changed anything with these machines so far?
Not yet. It's definitely
It's in
probably coming
in
down
the future.
We do have some AI features in our patient care reporting that is linked with this. So there are some features there that it's getting there, but this is strictly, use by, the provider, whoever's using it.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming out. Does anybody have anything they'd like to
I
say?
would just like to say as well, I attended the same healthcare board meeting when you guys did the presentations, and I was just so overwhelmed. And I thought, what a game changer for our citizens, because so many times, it could just be a minute,
Mhm.
and now this is truly a game changer. And I'm just thrilled. I'm happy that we have this for our citizens because they deserve it.
I agree.
They deserve it. Thank
I
you.
agree. Thank you, guys.
Anybody on the line or on the phone with a comment or question?
I have one comment.
I see no hands raised at this time.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Avalos?
One comment, I thank the taxpayers in our community that provide this service, equipment and everything for, not only for the city of Selma, the residential areas around us to save lives. And I thank you. Your idea brought it this machine at first, and then when you showed me that, hey, I want the people to see where their tax dollars are going, well worth it.
100%.
And I thank my wife down there because she's a retired nurse, so she understood.
Thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Jay.
it. Thank you for everything you do. Stage out. All right, we're going to move on to our next special presentation item, which is City Engineer Horn providing an update on capital improvement projects.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This is an item that was requested by council, and city manager asked us to put this presentation together for you.
Thank you.
So you have the packet, which is basically the slides. I tried to present this as a presentation with each slide representing a project, a CIP project.
Okay.
We were asked to try and organize them in a couple different categories. So we'll go through projects that are under construction, projects that are in design, that are planning to go to construction soon. And then the last stage is what we're calling pre-design. And I think there was a request for what projects are coming. So I'll go over those. There's not a lot of detail there, but I wanted to make sure and show you what projects have just started for this fiscal year. There's a lot for each project, so I'm going to provide a summary. If there's questions, I'm happy to answer questions. I could talk for a couple days about these, so I don't want to take more time than I need. So please, if there's a question, please stop me and I'd be happy to answer questions as we go. All right, Patrick, you and I. Thank you, sir. All right.
Put down to 1 day, please, talking.
Yeah, certainly. All right, we can go to the first project that's in construction, is our Amberwood Sewer Trunk Line. This is over on Amber. Obviously, the updates that we wanted to give is two pieces. There's the temporary siphon connection that we've been working on to try and make that connection so that the trunk main is active. The contractor of the project has worked up a cost to do that. It's the connection that SKF reviewed, approved. Our contractor is providing an update on that. The timeline that I just got today is that they, part of getting that started is a traffic control plan with Fresno County. They've been working on that with the county. We anticipate they'll start a sewer bypass at the connection. First, of course, I printed it too small. In 2 weeks. So this week, they're gonna wrap up the traffic control plan. Next week, they're anticipating starting that bypass. And then it'll be just a 2-week process. So it's not a long period, but obviously we have to get all the pieces together, do a bypass so they can do the work, and then that siphon will be done. So that's one update. The other update is the actual project and getting under the railroad. The fiber optic lines were found when we did our potholing. In the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've had some really good conversations with the fiber optic companies. The second company, I believe it's Lumen, they had more information than Sprint did as far as the profile of where their fiber optic line actually is underground. So that gave us a much better picture of what the issue is. So after that meeting, we met with city manager and Michael Hahn, public works director. We believe there's a solution to just slightly adjust the alignment of the jack and bore. And that's what we're working on right now, so that we don't have to relocate any fiber optic lines. That's obviously the last resort as far as cost goes. So what we're finding out is the fiber optic lines, like we typically are used to, and everybody else, that they install their lines at 4 to 5 feet deep. At this intersection, they just went down to 9 to try and avoid any potential utilities. So, but they only did this at the intersection. So if we can move a few hundred feet south, we believe we'll be right where we thought we would be at the profile. So that's what our staff is working on right now. Once we come up with a potential solution, we'll obviously be working with SKF, reviewing potential realignment. Then we'll go through a process of working with the railroad to get a permit to do potholing of that at that new location, so that we are confident that there's no issue or that we can reduce the cost at the most. So that's our update for the Amberwood sewer main. Questions on that one?
Yeah, David, on that new, by moving it over it's not as that particular area, that fiber optic is 9 feet, right? That particular, so moving it over to a little, not too far location, it's a little upper, is that, how did it go? It went like this, like a snake? Is
Yep.
that what I'm saying?
Yeah, pretty much. So
Alright.
they install all of their lines with like a trench, and they put it at 4 to 5 feet deep, like as they run down the railroad. When they come to a street, and this street specifically, they do what's called a directional bore. And so they do using an equipment that can drill these pipes underground. And so
Okay.
it will look like a snake when you look at it from the side. And according to their information, which Lumen provided us when we had our meetings, it's only 30 or 40 feet where they started to go in that deeper depth. So there is a very good possibility, and we're working on finding an alignment where it'll work for SKF, it'll work for the sewer pipe, that it won't. There's some railroad pieces that we have to avoid as well, so we're looking at the whole piece.
So there's the bond that paid for this was for the original project. This was kind of an unforeseen cost. Does this get reimbursed through that line of credit that the city had to build this, and then build back the developer and the home builder? Or is this something that the city is going to have to bear because it was an unforeseen contingency?
That'll be a conversation I think we have with city manager and.
That hasn't
finance.
been determined yet?
Correct.
Okay.
So, and just to, as an update, the contractor, there's still, we're at about 75% of the full contract because they haven't done the jack and bore. There's that work that is in contract that hasn't been done yet. So if we have to realignment, we're trying to minimize any change, but there's still that contract that they're obligated to do that under the plans. So we're still half, we're 75% through on the amount of cost that has been spent. We'll make an adjustment, work with SKF. There will be a slight change to the plans. And if there's any change of cost is what we'll have to work.
Got it.
with.
We're within budget. We just don't know what the final cost is going to be till this gets done.
Just a
David,
quick,
on that note, David, would there be, by offsetting that much, you won't need a lift station, will you, in that that area?
No, the
Won't
redesign,
need
we
it,
do
right?
not, we're not proposing a lift station.
Okay, I was a little worried there when you start shifting here a little bit.
But we're shifting downstream is our proposal.
Uh-huh.
So the connection to the existing line is
Okay,
going south.
downstream. All right.
So if we shift it south, then we should be able to follow that profile.
just a
From-
quick question. I
Yes,
just
ma'am.
want to make sure this isn't going to delay the project. Are we still on schedule to build the model homes?
Yes.
Yes.
Under-
And that's what the bypass helps us or allows the developer to be able to do that.
Okay.
So when I call siphon,
Yeah.
that's the technical term for the temporary connection that we're on schedule to do in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
Once that is done, and SKF is involved in reviewing that, then they can begin issuing permits, and that sewer trunk main that's now built can be used. And there's an agreement between city and SKF that was a temporary solution. So that's why we're continuing to work on the permanent solution for the jack and bore and actually.
Which is
finishing.
this? Yeah,
Okay.
which is projected to be completed around April of 2027.
Right. So on the bottom, the time period, that long green piece was more of an estimate if we had to deal with the fiber optic companies. So I anticipate a much shorter timeline if we obviously will come up with a realignment, work with SKF. So anyway, there's some good news with the fiber optic issue. Next project that's under construction is the CDBG sidewalk connectivity project that's being done in the south west portion of town. Most of those curb ramps and sidewalk connectivity issues have been finished. There's two areas that we had to deal with. There's some street trees that needed to have some roots pruned, so we had an arborist look at those. There's one intersection that had some drainage issues, and we've asked the county if we can fix that drainage issue and use the CDBG money. So we're working with the county. They were receptive to that. It's part of making the sidewalks work for the city. So we're at the very end of that project. As soon as those two last intersections are done, we'll wrap that up. This is money that's reimbursed or is provided from Fresno County through CDBG funds. So as it's spent, then the county reimburses the city for this money. All right. Next project is the Clarkson Lift Station that's been under construction. We're getting very close to the end. The bypass, so all of this, the new site work, the electrical work, the new piping has all been finished. Where we're at now, when we move into about bypass schedule that we've been working out with SKF is this last part of January. So they will begin bypassing the sewer flow from the existing lift station back to the intersection. So the lift station basically comes offline. So the contractor now will make connections between the old lift station and the new lift station, the piping to redirect that flow, will all be done at this point. It's going to take until about middle of March to do all of that finished work for the underground pieces with that bypass running. Once that work's done, they will turn off the bypass. The new lift stations will be in operation. PG&E is on schedule to come set their new electrical equipment during that period. The generator has been set, so everything is in place to allow that bypass to start. So that's what we've been working towards. And then hopefully the estimated timeline is in end of March to be
Will the
completely done.
Clarkson sewer lift station project, will that facilitate sewer connections for all this construction that's going up in the Rockwell Pond and the Floral Avenue area? Will that facilitate that movement there, or will there need to be a new lift station up there as well?
No, I believe this lift station size was done based on the master plan recommendations from SKF for the development that the city has scheduled with the land planning.
And that included the Cashion project and some of the other projects in Rockwell and those.
I believe so.
Oh.
We can check with SKF on the ESFRs. That's what's planned. And then as real projects come in, they may be slightly different. So that's what SKF is always looking at. When every new project comes in, they look at what's available. There were a couple of developments that cannot start until this work is done, closer to like Nebraska and Highland. So those were actual conditions on those projects that were entitled. The last little project that's under construction, there's a storm drain repair on Dockery. This was an issue that Public Works came up with. We put the project together. It's out to bid. We kind of anticipated that Public Works was going to ask for some additional paving to be fixed in the area. So when the council approved it for construction, there was a contingency that was more than what we usually recommend. So we're working through that with the contractor to try and, when they fix the storm drain pipe and they recompact the soil, that we repair as much pavement as we can based on what the council approved for the contract. So it's a small project, but we're working to get that wrapped up for Public Works. All right, so next group of projects would be projects that are in design. So these are projects that are part of the capital improvement plan that was approved by council. These are projects that went through or were shown on the approved budget. A lot of these street projects, CIP projects, typically take about 2 years to get through the full life cycle, meaning there's a design portion and then we move into the construction portion. So this, in the projects in this group, you can go to that first one, Patrick. This is the the Clean California project. This was a grant that was provided by California. The design consultant for this project is A&M Engineering. This is the cleanup of that segment between 99 and Whitson, or almost to West Front Street. You've been presented some bears and some treatment at the freeway. This is a project that addresses and really cleans up that segment.
I think we're missing this
You
one.
missing that one?
Clean.
Oh, no, it's way back. I see it.
Sorry. I think I resorted them to try and make them a little bit more. I should have done that earlier. So the status of this project, A&M Engineering, city manager, public works director, myself, we meet regularly with them to kind of keep track of their progress. You have to deal with Caltrans on this project. So that's taken, they anticipated that. They're working back and forth with Caltrans to get approval of the statues, the signs, the treatment of the pieces on the on and off ramp. They've made progress in the last couple of weeks with what Caltrans has been asking for. The rest of the street segment as it comes into town, this project takes care of redoing some sidewalks, street trees, some lighting. it's a lot of work behind the curb. So it's the pedestrian piece, the crosswalks are going to get all redone. It's going to look really nice. So this funding is through the state. Their anticipation, we're all hopeful that Caltrans is done reviewing things. They're going to get approval from Caltrans in a few weeks, we hope. And they'll be ready to go out to bid, and then that construction phase can start. And we anticipate that in that second quarter of this year.
And then that $1 million budgeted amount, I think isn't it like a $3 million grant? Is there an additional component to this?
I can double check that, whether that is the design and the construction.
There are different parts of this
more.
project though, right? We're
Yep.
just looking at one piece right here.
Yep.
Okay.
As far as I know, I intended to be the entire the grant that was provided to the city, both design and construction.
Yeah, I thought we heard that it was about $3 million in this, so.
There's
And
a
we
trail
looked right
project that might,
against
is
it.
potentially the $3 million. I'll double check and
Okay.
talk to the city
All right,
manager.
thank you.
Any other questions on that one? All right, moving on to the next project. The smaller project, but it is a federally funded through CMAQ. It's a sidewalk connectivity on Thompson, south of the railroad, but north of Whitson. There's a missing piece of sidewalk there, so we applied for some federal funding, received that. The survey's been done, the plans are in process. They're working with planning. There has been some discussion of the development in that area, so we're trying to make sure we coordinate the cities using the federal funds to fix the street and make sure it coordinates well with that developer. But either way, we'll move forward and get this project done.
Is this related in any way to the streets and roads we're doing in front of the high school, putting speed buttons in?
No, this is strictly like a sidewalk
Okay.
congestion mitigation award from the federal government. And the timeline, it gets extended because we have to work with when those funds are available. So this year, this federal fiscal year is the design portion. And then the next federal fiscal year is when we can obligate the construction project costs. So keep moving on that. Next project, please. I apologize again if they're out of order. I tried to regroup these in the federal kind of funding group, but this is a bike lane at Rose and Mitchell. Again, this is a federally funded project that was awarded on a carbon reduction program. So we identified the need to improve the bike path or trail or route between Eric White and up over down Rose Avenue. That's part of the city's ATP plan and priority. The city was awarded this funding to be able to put bike route signs, some striping on the street. So we're working through that. That should be, it'll be a short construction piece because it's not there's no real pavement work, but you'll see bike route signs and some striping. This again is a federally funded project. All right, next project, please. The Dinuba and McCall traffic signal. I know this is an important project. Again, the federally funded project through CMAQ. It's been through the process in the last so many years. We are currently on track and solidly in the right-of-way phase. So that's the little purple piece on the timeline. The signal plans were far enough along. The right-of-way that is required to be needed to be able to put the signal in at the corners, and then some of the transition along Dinuba. The right-of-way, there is going to be pieces of right-of-way that the city needs to acquire from those property owners in order to safely build this signal. Because it's federally funded, Caltrans oversees that funding. There's some very specific procedures that need to be done to meet the Caltrans right-of-way certification. The council awarded the consultant to be the right-of-way acquisition consultant. They have been working for the last couple months preparing appraisals reaching out to those property owners, showing them the right of way that's needed. I've fielded a couple of questions from property owners that want to make sure they understand the area. They'll work with that consultant specifically for any right of way questions. So that's where we're at now. Part of that process is the surveyors will go out and mark temporarily these areas on their property. That's a request from the right-of-way consultant, so that the property owners can actually see what they're being asked to be acquired from them.
But when they send that letter out, the first phase letter, it says we will be doing an appraisal. Chances are those appraisals are done. They just have to go through the steps, the federally mandated steps for the right-of-way process.
They're new appraisals, so the appraisals are being done now. So they're not old appraisals, or they're not, they're.
But
they
they're
are-
working on them simultaneously as they're sending these letters out. They're also working on the appraisals.
Yes.
And then what happens after that?
They'll continue to work,
They send them the appraisal letter and then they have to get an acceptance from the property owners.
Yes, they'll get an acceptance. There's a process for the Caltrans requirement. If it's accepted, then it goes into an escrow, and the city is actually purchasing that property at that agreed price. And then once that process goes through, then the consultant prepares a right-of-way certification letter stating that everything was done per the Caltrans requirements, so that Caltrans won't allow us to use the construction funds if the right-of-way wasn't acquired appropriately. So that's where they're at now. Appraisals are being done. We'll mark in the field with these areas that have already been established. And it'll be a process.
I saw one was like 1.8 square feet. Are they all pretty small areas of land that are?
1.8 sounds small. They're like 10 feet on a couple of properties that we need 10 feet roughly across
Two
their
by
property.
5 in some of the areas, something
Yeah,
like
the
that.
corner is just the corner cutoff where,
It's not, these are not large pieces of land though, that are at each corner.
you know, the northwest corner is a larger piece. That's where the grapevines used to be or are. There's actually a developer there that they know this is being widened and being worked on. So they'll understand what the request is. The northeast corner, there was a parcel map that was already recorded. So most of that right of way was already acquired or dedicated to the city. There's this very small sliver of that corner that is needed in order to build the signal and the curb ramps so that it's all safe for ADA, pedestrians, and traffic.
So this is exciting. I just want to make sure. I had a couple of questions. I mean, we're only talking a handful of property owners that's going to be affected, correct?
There's about 6 or 7.
Okay. And then also here where it says the end date, we have August 31st of 26. So I just want to confirm, does that mean that we will have a stoplight by August?
That's our current phase, so I don't think so.
Okay.
This right-of-way phase, that's the anticipation of that being completed. The timeline then, when we look at construction and actually having a light that we can see, is dependent upon all of those right-of-way acquisitions going as planned.
Mhm.
And then there's a couple other projects that we'll go over that are pavement projects that we're trying to make sure we coordinate together. So the timeline on the bottom is based more on the federal funding obligation to be able to utilize that construction. Obviously, if things go as planned and everything is ready to go, we're not waiting. I'm not planning on waiting for anything. Like, as long as things move forward, we keep marching forward and start the construction.
Seems like the biggest delay has been this right-of-way acquisition. It's been it's taken up a lot of time to get the consultant. And I mean, it's just taking up a lot of the time. Is the construction, I'm looking right there, it looks like the actual construction is what, a couple months, maybe 3 months?
Yeah, I have it as 3 quarters, but that's like a 120-day construction period. There will be PG&E coordination that has to be done. So there's other pieces that will have to all kind of work together. As far as how we got to here, there was environmental issues that came up that we had to take care of, and Caltrans required some clearances on cultural reports. So we've done all of that. The right-of-way piece,
A big,
you
right.
have to go out for, you have to hire a right-of-way consultant that meets the requirements of Caltrans. That's why you went out for an RFP for a consultant. So those things do take time, but we're doing our best to march forward on it.
Yeah, with this funding, it's, Caltrans is very specific and they have specific requirements and checklists and everything that you have to do and submit in order to get reimbursed back. Or even, even move on to the next phase.
So with that, are we looking like maybe year 27?
Looks like.
I
first quarter.
From
think,
what it
though,
looked like?
with those paving projects and with the right-of-way acquisition being done, as long as the escrows go good, the PG&E, we will make sure that that is all coordinated. This is one project that still is, the engineering is done by Gateway Engineering. So I'm working with them to make sure that all of their plans are done. And then once it goes out to bid, the city can be in charge of that construction.
So I think, when this right-of-way acquisition is done, I'd like to have, I think we started with this, let's end with it too, and let's have a public presentation. I'd like to have, like in the city council, maybe 30 minutes before a city council meeting, have a nice board showing what the stoplight will look like. People, it's been in works for so long, people have kind of forgotten about it. We have many, many people that ask about it. That's why we're, pushing so hard for it, and everybody sees the traffic every day, the buildup, and how much better this will be for quality of life in Selma. So once we get this right away done and we're ready to move on to the next and final phase, I'd love to have a public presentation for that. And I know we're not there yet, but let us know when that's ready so that we can announce it that we're headed into this final phase, because this is probably something I get asked about as much as anything else in the city.
Yep.
A workshop, I should say.
All right, next project is still on Dinuba Avenue. It's the street improvement project, or it's fixing the pavement that's out there. So this project, again, is a federally funded project. It specifically goes from McCall to the east, so it goes all the way to Dockery. So this is not widening the street, it's not building it out, it's repairing the pavement. So the pavement is deteriorated. This project from the federal funding is to repair the paving. So it kind of ties into the signal. You have a new signal, and then the pavement working up towards that signal will be repaired as well. This project, the design is near finished. We're just coordinating between the different pieces, and it'll be ready to go out to bid when we'll work with the city manager and public works director to make sure we time some of that construction. There are some things to think about as far as shutting the road down and working through the pavement repair. So we'll definitely kind of use that as a timeline, but it will be ready to go at the end of this year if that's a direction that we want to take. Next project is the same Dinuba Avenue, but it's on the other side of McCall. So this goes from McCall over to Thompson. And it's the same thing with the pavement deteriorated. This doesn't widen, it doesn't build curb and gutter, it doesn't build sidewalk. It's just fixing the pavement that's there. The developer that comes in and develops that corner, they'll be responsible to put in the curb and gutter and widen the street. There's no right of way needed for this project. It's strictly repairing the pavement. And again, it's the same kind of timeline as the other side. All the plans will be ready. We'll work through the right time to put it out to bid and get that construction. Project, please. Sticking with Dinuba, this is the Dinuba Avenue sewer trunk main. So this was a master planned trunk main for SKF. This sewer main is needed in order to help development move north of Dinuba. The plans are, for all intents and purposes, finished. We are working with the railroad to positively locate the fiber optic in case those companies did the same thing at Dinuba and the railroad. If they dove down deeper than what is anticipated, we'll make sure we know that before we move into any kind of bidding for it. But the plans have been approved by SKF, by CID, by Fresno County. They're on the shelf, ready to go out to bid. But we think it's prudent to verify that that crossing at the railroad doesn't cause the same issue that we have down at Saginaw. So as far as when this goes out and the financing, as the mayor mentioned earlier, there was a bond discussion about this. The funding is not, as far as I understand, not in place. It's going to have to be a decision that the council makes to move forward. But as far as the engineering goes and the plans, these will be ready to go out to bid if you want in order to get the cost to be able to move forward on financing.
8.2. 8.2 million.
That was a, yeah, an estimate of the engineer's estimate based on plans. So it's with contingencies and construction management, it could be upwards of $10 million. So
More expensive than the other trunk line.
yeah, it's get the location on Dinuba. It's more in town. There's a lot more going on. There is a sewer main that's there now. So there's going to be a much more congested area to do construction, where Amberwood was kind of outside the skirts. There was no other utilities that were at that depth. So it will be a more complicated project, and thus it will cost more per linear foot. But anyway, the plans are done. We are going to just finish up the UPRR crossing, and then we'll be able to have that ready when the council is ready. Next project. All right, there's a sequence of, well, we'll just finish this up. So the Ditch Street rehabilitation, this is up north of the junior high. This street segment was on the CIP plan. The pavement analysis showed that this is a segment that could use an overlay. So this was in the last year's budget. Just a rehabilitation of that segment. Surveying's done, engineering is almost done. This will be ready to go out to bid and be worked on this summer is the anticipation. Project, please. The Floral Avenue median modification. This is a project that was initiated because of some of the traffic issues on Floral Avenue. The funding for this was established out of the impact fees based on projects causing more impact. A very short segment, and it's pretty much underneath Freeway 99. So if you're on Floral Avenue driving east and you want to turn left on Highland, that turn pocket to make that left turn is really short. And there's some space that we've identified underneath the overpass that isn't used by anybody. And so we worked with Caltrans to make that left turn pocket, both turning north on Highland and turning south towards the, I call it the Taco Bell intersection. Both of those left turn pockets will be improved. So working with Caltrans, we're at that 95%, just trying to get that last Caltrans comment to be approved. Once that's done, then we can go out to bid. We anticipate that this summer. The work as it's set up and as we proposed to Caltrans, it will be all night work. So there will be no impact during the day to traffic. And there will always be at least one lane open. So there's no plan to like shut down Floral and to do it during the night so that we minimize any kind of impact to the traffic on Floral. But we believe, and we work with Caltrans where we believe we can do at least a little bit of improvement. It's something that we can do right now as we continue to look at Floral, as all of those projects continue to look at the bigger picture. This was identified as a potential improvement.
So I know that night work is more expensive than a project during the day. So that'll probably add to the budgeted amount. I know that Measure C, one of the issues that's really getting wrestled with is that regional component of Measure C. And I can't think of a better project that is more of a regional project than our Dinuba Road, overpass, including our Floral Avenue improvements. So this is something I think it's a long time coming and something that we're gonna have to deal with. Just on this particular smaller project, are they planning on taking out the sidewalk on the south side or
No, there's no change to the curbing. In order.
where's the additional space that you're talking about?
If you drive underneath it, you'll see the two yellow striping lines that are separated. So you technically can't go in between those two yellow lines underneath the overpass of 99.
Oh.
And so instead of having that no man's land, we were able to convince Caltrans, let's use that as a left turn pocket. So you'll remove that dead portion of the median. It's just striped now, so it's really just some paving and some striping, but we have to do it Caltrans way, so it takes a little bit longer to get their approval, but we're at that point. So it increases the number of cars that can be in a left turn pocket.
That will
or
help.
left.
Yeah, that'll be a good temporary measure.
I think it'll improve at least some of that function of that intersection. It's not the end, it's not the only thing, but it's
Right.
definitely something that needs to be done.
Better.
Next project real quick. This is another street project that was part of the CIP. So this is Huntsman, northeast of the high school. Again, the paving on the condition index was extremely low. This was identified a few years ago. And so now we're at the stage of our CIP 10-year plan. This has been surveyed. It'll be a street reconstruction. When it comes to council for award, we plan on grouping some of the segments together like we did this last year. We get an economy of scale for the contractor once they mobilize and they can do work in multiple parts of the city. We believe it's an economical way to get the work done. So this will be one of the segments that's done this summer. Next project. This is an alley project. So this is up by Merced, Stillman and Tulare. This is a federally funded project through CMAQ. These were alleys that were identified a few years ago as being dirt. And so the federal process allows you to request money to go from being a dirt alley to a paved alley, which helps with air pollution. So we always try and do something to help improve some of the alleys. So this is has been in the works for a couple of years, going through the Caltrans process of design. We had to deal with some right-of-way, some biological issues that Caltrans came up with that we typically don't deal with, but we took care of it. And we're at the point now where we're just waiting for that certification. There's no right-of-way that was needed, but we have to go through a process of clearing it with Caltrans. So the anticipation is that this will go to construction this summer. Those alleys, there's no undergrounding of utilities. I think one of them, we have to improve some of the storm drainage. So it might be an alley that kind of has a dip in it. We're going to make sure that the proper storm drainage is included in this process so that we don't create any drainage issues.
The city's responsible for alleys, right? The city's
Yes.
ultimately. At the Amberwood project, are there going to be alleys in
I
those
believe
roads?
so.
I
Not on
didn't
the
see any
first
on the
phase.
sketch. And is the general trend of construction not to put in alleys when it comes to residential?
It depends on the developer. I've dealt with some developers that want alleyways, and from a public works perspective, I like to go away from that. But it really depends on what they're doing for the area that they're developing.
Comes down to the area and it just didn't look like it was a right fit for the Amberwood. Ultimately, it's going to be up to the city to approve it,
Correct.
but they're not proposing Lennar or whoever's designing this not proposing alleys. This
I
way.
haven't seen them.
Not for the current tract. And that Amberwood specific plan, that document that was adopted by the city, that plan would include any kind of proposed alley treatment or small parcels. I'm not familiar with the entire thing, but that's where you would be able to see if it's included or not.
I never saw it. I mean, there's a big fountain. There was a lot more water that got eliminated over the years, but I never saw alleys. Never saw them.
So again, this is a federally funded project, so this is, this majority of this money will come through Caltrans. Next project, please.
Will that allow the trucks from the city's trash hauler, Mid-Valley, to be able to pick up from the alleys?
I don't know specifically on those two alleys if there were any issues with power poles and being too narrow, but it will definitely take care of the issue of it not having dirt and making.
The pavement won't be an issue
Right.
anymore.
Pavement will be solved. If there's.
The
there's
power
some
lines could
alleys have
still be, or the
vegetation.
width of the alleys.
Potentially, those two alleys, we'd have to look and see if they identified those as any issue, but the pavement will be per standard.
Right, okay.
Project, this is a small basin project. The city's storm drainage basin doesn't have a fence. So Public Works and I worked out just from a safety standpoint, we need to put a fence up. So it's on the list and it'll be put up this summer, but that'll improve the safety of anybody walking through that area. Anytime there's water in that basin, we need to make sure it's secure. So it's on the list. And that was a part of the budget, just from local funds.
Hey, David, on that note, now on the ditch, is it gonna be covered up? Let me ask, I forgot to ask that question.
The ditch, what the previous
orange?
project we
Yeah.
talked about, we were just talking about paving, so just the roadway.
It'd be like on the Orange Avenue, same thing going to Florida, similar.
Yeah, at least from what we talked about tonight. If, similar to how when the school developed, they piped the canal. That if there's developers that develop that and expand that street, then most likely it'll have to be piped.
Oh. Cause I thought the future plan was to actually cover the ditch up. You know, that way, like you see right in front of the junior high, Abraham Lincoln School, it's covered.
We've applied for the city's applied for a couple of grants to
Yeah.
try and get that to be done, and sometimes it gets funded. There is some funding that's closer to Rose Avenue, that pedestrian improve there. So there are projects coming that are trying to do that. It's an expensive operation to do. So, but we're trying to find grant funding and trying to find funds to do that. But and I agree, that should be the direction of, and I believe CID agrees as well, to make those areas safe for pedestrians. But this project we talked about tonight is just a pavement
It's just a
project. This
pavement.
is just a fence on the other side of the street. Next project, please, Patrick. Park Street, this is down on the southwest portion of town. It was identified a couple years ago as a pavement project. We looked at it as potentially just doing kind of an overlay or a ceiling project, but we identified some pavement-ish areas that we felt like needed to be improved more than just doing a ceiling project. So we're including it with this summer's round of street projects. So it'll go from Thompson over to the street that runs south by the Salazar Center. That'll be just a repair. If there's any areas that have potential potholes, they might cut those out, repave those, and then at the end, it'll all get a sealing treatment over it. So that's one of the projects we're lumping together or grouping together in our construction for this summer. Next one, please. Again, same thing, we have a street project on Second Street that runs from Nebraska up towards and past 99. This is gonna work in conjunction with that Clean California project, where the Clean California project is working more on the sidewalks and the aesthetics, the crosswalks. This area was identified that needed some pavement treatment. So the plan is for these two projects to kind of work in conjunction, so that when both projects are finished, you have a beautiful entry into Selma with the sidewalks, the signs, and the pavement is also repaired as it was identified in the CIP project. But this will get repaired all the way down towards Nebraska. That's anticipated for this summer. Next project. Thompson Floral Alley. This was a drainage project that was identified by SKF when they came in and repaired some of their sewer main in the alley. They noticed that there were some connections with storm drainage from some of the property owners. So obviously we can't be putting storm water into the sewer system. So we committed to fix that. The plans are all done and ready to go. We're just waiting for better weather so that we aren't doing this project when it's raining. So we anticipate probably March or April. We'll get in there. It'll repair the alley. It'll repair the drainage. It'll obviously remove that connection to the sewer. But we've been in conjunction with SKF and they understand that we're doing this project for that. So it's ready to go. We're just waiting for the right time to do it this spring. Next project. There's another one of the street projects that'll be done this summer. So this is Thompson, as it goes from Bowder south to Nebraska. Again, this was one of the pavement areas that was identified as that really needed some repair work. So it's finishing up design. It'll be ready to go out to construction. So this will get tied together with the Second Street project, the Park project, the Huntsman project. Those will all go out to bid and come to council for award all together. And then they'll all be done in the summertime. Right. Next project. This is the Valley View Canal Bike Trail. This was the funding through ATP through the state. And this was a 3 million or 3.5 million funded project. Initially, it was trying to pipe that canal and make a trail. We're still coordinating with CID. A&M is the design consultant for this. They've been working with CID on what's allowed within the CID right away. The funding is for a trail, for a bike and pedestrian trail. So the issue is just working in conjunction with CID to make sure what the city proposes. It'll be some type of coordination between the two. It'll connect the Salazar Center at Valley View, and then it'll connect down to the Thompson Park at Thompson, where it crosses Thompson there. So that'll be once it's done, obviously a tie-in between those two parks for that area. So current update is we're working with CID. They've seen a couple of concepts. The cost to pipe the canal was extremely higher than what the funding allowed. So I think the consultant is working through alternative that's safe and still provides the same type of trail. So working through that. I don't have it on here. I know that it was requested the Thompson Park project itself. This, or the end of that trail and the canal issue, is what we're working on at the Thompson Park. So where the canal comes under Thompson and it cuts south, that the park needs that portion of the canal to be piped. So there's a parking lot that goes over that pipe. A&M Consulting has already designed that piece. So we're asking them to specifically just show those plans, get CID to approve that portion so that we can wrap up the Thompson Park piece. All of the other plans, the offsites, those are all at that 90–95%. So now once we get the canal piece taken care of, the park projects themselves, those plans will be ready for additional funding or bidding or however the city council wants to move forward on that. The other update on the Thompson Park is that developer that's dedicating the 10 acres, they've gone through their escrow process. We had some title issues that we recommended that they clear up. Those all got cleared up. So the grant deed, I believe it came to council. The council accepted that 10 acres. So now the city manager and the city clerk will work on getting that deed recorded. So now it'll be a city property that the city will own. So that was some progress that we made in the last couple of weeks. All right, so that was it for the majority of the large projects that are in design. You'll see a lot of those construction starting in the summer. As far as what's next, we are continuing to go through the 10-year CIP plan. Patrick, you want to go through this? I wasn't planning on going through each of these, but I just wanted to show you, you have them in your packet. If there's any questions, let the city manager know and we can provide more information. Go ahead and go to the next one. That was a storm drain issue at Gold Ridge Street. One of the pavement projects that's going to be ready to be constructed and repaired next summer. So the design and all the surveying is done this year, and then the construction will be next year. Next one, the Mitchell Avenue, same down by Eric White. That paving doesn't need to be removed. It just needs to be sealed to extend the life. So that'll be something that's part of the CIP plan that the council approved a couple of years ago. This is on the docket for the following summer. This portion of Nebraska from Thompson over to 99, this would be a pavement repair project to improve that paving. The storm drain project we're working on with Public Works. There's some video services underway. It was budgeted to spend $100,000 if there's any repairs needed for that storm drain trunk main. So we're working on that this year. The Thompson Avenue from Floral down past the south of Whitson, that paving needs to be repaired. That's on the process of getting to that point. There are funding opportunities that I believe the city manager is looking into to try and not use local funds, but it is a project that the paving needs to be repaired. So it won't be this summer, but it'll probably be next summer is the plan. Young Street Alley reconstruction, this is up against 99. This was awarded CMAQ money. So this will start the process of going through federal funding. It takes a few years to get through the Caltrans process. We're going to be asking to obligate that money as soon as possible. But it'll be another alley project that right now is mostly dirt. So it'll become paved and it'll improve that alley and that portion. But that was a federally funded award. Next project.
Thank you for your presentation. Do we have any questions for the city engineer?
Thank you, David.
Follow up, speed buttons in front of the high school. I know that was another project. What's the status of that project?
Right. That's the HSIP funded project. Sorry for not including that. We're in the process of design. What we've mentioned to council is that we're bringing together any and all alternatives. We obviously the dot bots or the little dots that you see, that's definitely something that can be included. But we're going to be working with all the other departments, fire department, police department, public works, to make sure we understand what options are there. That's in design. We're going to meet internally, and then I believe the council asked for kind of a presentation of what the proposed concept is before we get too far along. So you'll see that at a future council meeting.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate your presentation. Right, that we're going to move on from special presentations to our consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar category are considered routine. The complete consent calendar will be enacted by one motion. By roll call vote for purposes of discussion, any council member may have an item removed from the consent calendar and made part of the regular agenda. The council can then approve the remainder of the consent calendar. Does council have any items they would like removed from the consent calendar tonight? Is there a motion to approve items 2.1 through 2.4?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Moving on to departmental reports. City manager?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and City Council. A few items tonight. First off, our new city planner, Megan Lawrence, is scheduled to start next week, and our animal services manager is scheduled for February 9th. Additionally, I met with a few developers the last couple of weeks regarding different developments. The Selma North annexation project is in the process of submitting to LAFCO while Amberwood is in the process of defining their phasing plans. Also facilitated a development review meeting with the Corbin team to ensure that all parties are on the same page regarding tentative map requirements and so on. Councilmember Avalos and I met with SKF last week. Also received a tour of their facility. It's a nice facility, made me a little bit jealous. I didn't get to swim, thankfully. And then finally, a big one. Recently met with Fresno COG. On January 7th, Fresno COG Policy Board made and approved a motion to decline to continue the renewal of Measure C. Essentially, this means that Measure C, as we know it, is essentially dead. So a voter initiative will need to be placed on the ballot for 26. If this does not happen, I know there's a couple of groups that are working on it. Then the city is looking at losing approximately $1.7 million in funding between Measure C and Transportation Development Act, or TDA funds. And the reason for not only loss of Measure C, but TDA is because they're tied together. Measure C helps to pay for transit in our region. If Measure C goes away, then they have to take more of the Transportation Development Act funds. So then those aren't available to agencies. And however, staff are exploring other options for replacement of Measure C and plan on bringing that back to council at our February 3rd meeting for further discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, City Attorney. Thank you. Community Services Director.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Just a few things to report on. So this Friday is our first ever senior prom. And so I'm happy to report that we have about 65 tickets sold. And so it was a really good turnout. My goal was 50 and we got 65. So we're really excited about that. We have catering from Dan Barcelos providing a wonderful meal for us, and Just Us Band performing live from 6:30 to 9. So we're really excited to be able to provide this to our community. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Selma Live happening April 10th. And so Jose Moreno did a wonderful job at posting a save the date for April 10th. And so we did have a pre-planning meeting and we have some exciting stuff coming up. So that's all I have.
Good stuff. And speaking of, Communications Director Moreno, you're next.
Mayor, members of the council, I just have one thing to report. Last week, I met with A&M consulting engineers who are taking on the tactical urban safe street study. They were working on a project that's in front of Eric White's school right on Nebraska. We created some video content around it. And then Patrick, if you can get that called up and make sure to share the sound. They did a great job of explaining a lot of the elements that they put behind the project. And it was a good way to get it out to the community. Currently, it has 20,000 views. It's a really highly viewed content on our Facebook page right now. It's right on the desktop.
Which one is the video, Jose?
It's on the desktop.
No, there's two of them.
Okay,
The Pioneer Village or the Tactical Urban News?
that's it right there.
Tactical?
Yep.
Okay, copy.
Yeah. This short video is 2 minutes, and A&M explains kind of the elements behind it.
Here we go.
Thank you. So that's one of many videos we'll be creating with A&M. They have some more video concepts lined up. We'll be working with the Selma PD officer to kind of show how the crosswalks work and some of the safety measures they have in place. So it's been a good relationship working with the A&M consulting team. We're also working on the groundbreaking of the Second Street pass right there.
Nice.
Yep.
Just a question, Director, how are the appointments coming for the ICSC? We had a little bit of interest with companies that want to meet with us when we're there for the trade show.
Definitely have to dig into the portal a little bit more. Everything is all virtual, everything's online. I'm gonna look into it a little bit more so we can set up some appointments. But as far as of right now, everybody's set up for the conference. All the travel is set up and ready to go.
Great, thank you very much.
And then
Alright.
I'll be meeting with EDC next week to start discussing some of the ICSC strategy going
You know,
forward.
they put it out there that they were negotiating on Selma's behalf for a tire company, Enzo Tire, a big distribution facility, which would go in where Selma Crossings has a bunch of orchards right now. But it was originally designed for something, a commercial development or something other than it is being used for right now. I'm just wondering if Enzo will be there at ICSC, and if so, could we meet with him?
I'll look into it.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on, Public Works Director Han, who's joining us remotely tonight.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Just one quick update on the downtown planners. As you have seen, staff has been progressing through placing the borders, the turf, that has all been completed. This week, we're finishing up planting the drought-resistant plants and getting the drip irrigation ran to the locations of those plants. And then starting next week, we will be placing the rock. The Public Works Department did receive a shipment of that rock today. I got word of that this afternoon, so we have it on hand, and we will start placing the weed barrier and that rock next week.
Great, those plants are looking good. I saw them going in today. Looking good. Thank you. And with that, we will tell everybody have a good evening who doesn't have any more business with the city council, and we'll take a 5-minute break and come back for the tail end of our meeting. All right, we're back, everybody, from our break, and we are ready to roll into our first and only public hearing of the night, which is the second reading and adoption of ordinance 2025-15, amending Selma Municipal Code 6226 relating to breeding, transfer, and sale of dogs and cats. City Attorney Costanzo.
Mayor, members of the council, this is your long-awaited breeding ordinance. This is the public hearing on the breeding ordinance. If you adopt this ordinance, anybody who owns a dog or a cat that isn't spayed or neutered is required to come to us and get an unaltered dog or cat license. And the reason for that is to discourage people from having unaltered dogs or cats. And I'm going to suggest at the end of this to set that license fee roughly equivalent to what it would cost to get your dog spayed or neutered or your cat spayed or neutered. And I'm doing a little bit of research on what that might cost. So I think it's right around, for a dog, up to around 300.
Yeah.
For a cat, like
Around there.
half. Quite expensive. So you're required to get that license if you don't have your dog or cat spayed or neutered. If you have a dog or cat that isn't spayed or neutered, and you allow that animal to breed, you're required to come to us to get a breeder's license. And if you do any of those things without getting the proper license, that's a violation of our ordinance for which we can fine you after we give you a 30-day notice that says you are required to come to us and get a license. In the event we determine that you're not going to be able to determine anything other than the dog has bred, so you're not going to be able to do that with respect to an unaltered pet license. But if you discover a dog or cat having puppies or kittens, you give them a 30-day notice that says you can't do that and you're required to have this license. You need to come down to City Hall and get the license. If they don't get the license in response to that 30-day notice, we can fine them. And all of these fines and license fees and everything else are going to be set by a resolution. So I will have at presumably your next hearing before the ordinance becomes final. It only becomes final 30 days after you adopt it, if you adopt it tonight. So I will have to you before that expiration of that 30-day period, a schedule of fees that you'll set by resolution.
Right.
And that's simply the sum and substance of the ordinance. If you have any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them.
Is there any prescription for how the breeder's license is obtained? Is there language it will not be unreasonably withheld, or is there a procedure for actually getting the breeder's permit or license? Because that is a whole different thing, whole different area than getting a dog license or a cat license.
If somebody comes in and asks for the breeder's license because they've got an unaltered cat or dog, and they want to avoid getting fined because the cat or dog has puppies or kittens, and they come in and apply for the license, you need to give them the license if they pay the fee. It's not, you can't withhold the license. So if they get the license, the breeder's license, and the dog or cat has puppies or kittens, they're okay because they paid for the breeder's license.
Up to how many puppies or kittens?
That would be impossible to predict, number one, and it's not specified. The only way you can force people to spay or neuter their dog or cat, you could not lawfully adopt an ordinance saying you have to spay or neuter your dog or cat.
I mean,
It's beyond your power to do. They have a right, it's property. You'd be taking property without just compensation if you did that. So the overall intent of this ordinance is quite simply to encourage people to have their dog or cat fixed. So if they come in and they get the license and they're willing to pay what it would cost for them to pay to get the dog or cat fixed, not much you can do about that because they've got the license and they have an unaltered animal. If the dog or cat has puppies and they have the license to breed, there's literally nothing you can do about that because they went through the proper steps and got the license. If, however, they do not get the breeder's license, let's say they get the unaltered dog or cat license, and the dog has puppies, right? And they didn't get the breeder's license. Fine them for that. If they don't, respond to your 30-day notice and license. And I would suggest that you set those fines commensurate with the quantity of dogs or cats in the litter. In other words, every puppy is a violation of the ordinance if you don't have the breeder's license.
how much can the breeder's license fees be set for? Is there a limit?
Well, their limit would be what's reasonable and rational. So I would think that a breeder's license could be, there is a limit, but it's impossible to say what that limit is precisely. Certainly if you went up to $10,000 for the breeder's license, that would be unreasonable. That would be a confiscatory license fee. Went up to $5,000 for that license fee. That's right on the verge of being a confiscatory.
Have you seen how much some of these designer dogs get sold for? We're talking
Oh, if you
1,300,
have like
1,500
the
bucks a piece.
what are they, English bulldog
Yes.
that all the celebrities have?
Right.
Those dogs are $20,000.
Yeah, Frenchies, the Boston Terriers. I mean, they are
They go
very
for a lot.
expensive.
So yeah,
So why would
And-
5,000
and
be unreasonable?
you could be reasonable and say, well, if you just got a mutt that has puppies, or you set the license fee at $1,000. If you got a dog that is a expensive dog, you could think of that.
Sharpays. Mm-hmm.
Yorkies.
Bulls, the very, very expensive dogs. And so you could actually have a fee schedule that is based on the breed.
And a lot of times what happens is,
That would require a little bit of finesse and work because you'd have to identify, what the market value is of a particular dog, which is kind of difficult, but I'm sure it can be done.
yeah, because a lot of these breeders are not gonna be making money on, like I said, mutts, They usually, the ones that are breeding,
Well,
they'll do
right,
the-
we
the
should
high-
make the fine something that exceeds what they can expect to make by violating our ordinance, right?
Now, the only thing with that is, it may create more, dumping. If it's not a true breeder.
Well, and if they're a true breeder, they're actually advertising these things for sale.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. A true breeder.
There's state laws that regulate those people. And, you know, there's very few people that can actually do that lawfully anymore. I believe they allow it for, you know, a pet store. And I believe if you're going to breed dogs, like, you know, I, for example, purchased my dog, which is a Great Dane, from somebody on the East Coast, and they shipped them over here, and it was advertised, and go see pictures of her before you bought her and all this
I had a
stuff.
pedigree,
Yeah,
papers,
yeah, pedigree,
lineage,
paperwork, all of it. And
free
so,
ticket to Westminster show and things.
yes, all of it.
I don't think the city is really aiming to regulate the responsible breeders like that. I don't know how many we get. I mean, I know I've seen the scum of the earth, which are backyard breeders who keep their dogs in the backyard full of ticks, and they could care less about those poor animals, and they just pump out more. In fact, Rose and I were just talking about our little Shih Tzus, Sophie and Mr. Chips, who we found a backyard breeder, couldn't pay the rent, so they left, and hey, we just leave our dogs behind because, you know, they're just trash, they're just nothing. Those are the ones that we don't want in our town, and we want to penalize. So whatever you have to do to make sure our code and our ordinance directs a good, big, substantial fine to discourage these scumbags from breeding these dogs and breeding them into lives of misery, and cats too. That's what I think we've had as a main objective for doing this. These main breeders, I mean, they're making a lot of money on their animals. They don't want to mistreat their animals because, you know, that's their livelihood. You know, that's
Yeah.
how they're making their money.
You'd be
It's the
surprised.
people who are not,
You'd be surprised.
and maybe some of them too, in humane conditions, and then we need to investigate that.
But the moment you start, you know, essentially advertising for sale,
Mhm.
you're engaged in a commercial transaction that is regulated by state law. You're just, you know, Joe Blow, and you forgot to fix your dog, and the dog has puppies, and it's a mutt. I would say a non-confiscatory fine would be $1,000 per puppy.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people don't get them fixed because they don't have the money to do it too. So really, we got to come up with a program in Selma that is
Well-
reasonable, like the Hope Foundation. I mean, they're pretty cheap. They're still a little bit over $100 to get your dog fixed. You got to go up to Fresno and sign in at 7 o'clock in the morning. But you know, it's a nonprofit, and it's funded by a grant, I believe. And I think vets are part of it, and it's a responsible organization to do that. I think our city should have a low-cost alternative for spay and neuter to keep the animal population down so that there are no excuses. You know, so the excuse of I just couldn't afford it can't be used by folks who do have animals.
The Huron has a kennel, and they got I think it was like a $40,000 grant from the University of Davis, which is the primary place where veterinarians are trained in this country. And they let them use that grant for putting on a spay and neuter clinic, and people just bring their dogs and cats in and get them spayed and neutered for free.
Because I mean, look at our animal shelter. We want it to be no kill. They're working really hard to do that. The live release rate is way up. We have compassion for our animals here. We are a compassionate population, and I think this ordinance should really show that and should reflect that and should deter people from breeding these cats and dogs into, you know, miserable lives and just using them, putting them into puppy mills, because that's really what we want to avoid in this.
Yeah, because what if they get a permit? Say they go get a breeder's permit and it's, you know, let's say January of 26. And somebody reports them, oh, they're having puppies every 6 months or however they have the puppies. And then she goes, well, I do have a breeder's permit. That's right, January 26th. Now it's January 27th. What happens?
Well, you're gonna have to put a term
Okay,
on your permit. And I would suggest, common for this type of thing to set yearly permit fees. I think a dog or a cat they can essentially breed twice a year,
twice
can't
a
they?
year, I think so.
Um, but all you can do is require the license and set the fee accordingly and set the duration of the license to cover what you think you need to cover. And you gotta stay below an amount that a court is likely to view as confiscatory. I suggest to you that amount is got to be somewhere around 3 times what it would cost you to get at the expensive place, right? Take it to the vet.
Yeah, that's the pricey place to get it.
There's different charges depending on what you do, and I gather the females are more expensive than the males, for obvious reasons. So it's really a matter of kind of approximating, what the damage is being done to, the dogs and cats and to this,
There's a
to the
fine
environment
line
of the
there
city.
between discouraging breeders and discouraging people from being irresponsible pet owners and having those same pet owners just throw their dogs out. As we
Well,
heard, if
yeah.
they know they're gonna get fined, it's gonna be big money. They're not gonna get them chipped and they're just gonna cut them loose. And we don't want that. We definitely don't want that to happen either. So we want those fines just to be a deterrent to that kind of behavior and an encouragement to get your
Well,
dogs.
that's why we have this item in front of us, Scott. It's a start, you know, you know, down the road, we can, make some, changes in the ordinance and adoptions, we do have that discretion. So this is a beginning. We could start by starting this and then see how it lands, and we can judge it, how it proceeds out there.
Fresno has a program like that. I wonder what their fees and stuff are. Wasn't Fresno, they're the ones that started, the breeder issue?
So we have a new animal services manager starting who might have a little more knowledge about some of this stuff too.
Well, and it's apparently the University of California at Davis. They're apparently very, very generous at giving these. If they give you a grant for 40,000, it's going to cover a heck of a lot of
Spayed and
Oh, it
neutered.
will.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to
Definitely
start
will.
starting.
and cats.
Well,
Yeah,
look
maybe
into-
Sonia could
And
apply to Davis for that grant.
it's a way to publish to the public that you
40,000
have
would be
this service
huge.
available, and at the same time publish to them that hey, if you don't, you're gonna
They'll
have
pay
to
the
come
fine.
pay us.
Yeah.
A heck of a
Then if
lot
you
more.
throw them out and we find out, look at our abandonment provisions now. I mean, that's referral to
Well,
the
then they'll pay the
DA right
fine.
there. Have a pay
Yeah,
fine.
did you guys know, on the same note, like Councilman Avalos said, on the same note, I'm just gonna add to, you were saying about the abandonment. I don't know if you saw the report in the news. There was a guy who was abusing a dog and dumped him. Well, somebody took video and found out who they were. They arrested the guy. He's in jail right now for doing that kind of stuff. I think we need to start, going after people like the one that, remember the one that was on Facebook? That they took a picture of the place, nothing ever happened here in Selma.
Jumping the cat.
Yeah. So, I mean, we need to,
This is a public hearing, so we'll open the public hearing to the public. Does anybody have any input on this item at this time? Anybody online or on the phone with input?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this time.
That we will close the public hearing and bring the matter back to council. It's, as Councilman Avalos said, this is definitely a start. We're headed in the
Yeah,
right
it's a start.
direction. Let's just
That's
keep,
why,
keep
you
moving
know,
that.
Yeah. This second reading for it.
And the fines should be 3 times, definitely three times the price of, getting
I
a
think
spay
the
and neuter at a,
license fees
at a
could be
veterinarian's.
3 times the cost of spaying or neutering.
if you don't get them spayed and neutered.
I think the fines could be substantially more than that.
So the license would be
Well,
3
it's
times
all a
that
matter of
price.
reasonableness, and there's just a certain point at which set your fines for a particular thing, like speeding, for example. If they set the fine too high, courts are more likely than not to find it confiscatory, overly punitive. So there's a limit. No one in this world could ever tell you what that limit really is. It's kind of a, if you do it, you're gonna get slapped for it, and you're not gonna even know ahead of time.
Can we, make an equivalent fine of you either pay the bucks or you serve a certain number of hours as a volunteer at the animal shelter instead of the money? Can we build that in? Because
you
if you
could-
go to an
you
animal
could-
shelter and you see all these
you could
poor
certainly
abandoned
do that.
animals,
You
I
could
don't
certainly
think you'd
do
be a
that,
breeder
yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
We do that?
Yeah, you could certainly
Council
do
good
that.
with
You
that?
could say the fine is, for example, you could say
Your
the
first
fine's
offense?
$1,000 per puppy, or you're gonna spend, 30 hours
Yeah,
at the
30 hours,
shelter
10 hours, 20 hours.
volunteering.
Yeah. How about that? 10 hours per dog, per puppy. Okay,
You can do that.
we good with that? All right, is there a motion to approve this item?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Call the roll, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Avalos.
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Okay, moving on to our regular business items. Our first one tonight is item 5.1, consideration of resolution 2026-01R, approving the purchase of a modular building for EMS division living quarters via the Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative totaling $955,476.21, and authorization for the city manager or designee to execute all necessary associated documents. Fire Chief Webster.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This specific agenda item has been a long time in the making, and I'm very excited that we're finally at a point where you guys have an opportunity to make a decision on this. Going back a couple of years, we started an agreement with Griffin Structures as master architect and construction management for the design build process of a fire station, which was initially sparked by pass-through grant through Senator Hurtado's office in the amount of $4.5 million. And we've since gone through a handful of renditions of what that project looks like. And ultimately it came down to the council's decision to really look at what our options are and possibly engage some of our local businesses and really go through all of our options with regards to fiscal management and just the resources available to us. And so through that process, we were given a proposal initially of phase 1 of our 3-phase campus design, which was this EMS facility. And that project total, there was 2 options with that. Option 1 was utilizing some surplus classrooms that were donated to the city by Selma Unified School District, and to repurpose those for this facility. And the estimate for that project came in at $5.9 million. The other option was to purchase new modular structures from a builder, and that would save the city roughly $1 million in that project. So the total project cost was about $5 million. At that point, I think that just from a common sense approach, I think council, myself, and city staff felt that maybe those figures were high. And, with the onset of a local business that provides those structures, felt it appropriate to maybe have a strategic pause and revisit, alternatives. And with that, I've worked closely with the city engineering team to come up with a site plan that you'll see in your council packet for all of the site work associated with that. And we engaged Mobile Modular, which is a new, very exciting business and part of the city of Selma, who we were able to use a Sourcewell contract, which mitigates the need for a RFP or a bid project to procure them as a vendor. And with that, I was able to work very closely with a sales and design member there to come up with a design that met the needs specifically for this facility, to utilize some of the council feedback that align it closely with the campus design itself. In the design process, council felt that matching some of the aesthetics associated with the high school buildings that have just been built there, which is catty corner to this project. So more of a contemporary design with storefront windows and that kind of thing. And so we were able to come up with a very preliminary but conceptual design that really met the theme of this campus design project. It meets the design themes of the high school, which is catty corner to this project, and most importantly, this project really reshapes the fiscal impact to the city to be able to have this facility for our EMS personnel. And so, before you is the cost of just the modular buildings themselves and the installation of those buildings. And these are not just portable classrooms. They're going to be finished with stucco. They're going to look like a permanent fixture and very nice that aligns with the standards that we have here for the city and with the fire department itself. That cost again is the $955,476.21 that you see in your agenda packet. Preliminary cost estimates for the site work, which is not included in this packet, is coming in the ballpark of about $1 million. And I think with finishes and furnishings, I think we're going to be under the 1.5 million mark for the site improvements and finishes, making of all out project costs of roughly $2 to $2.5 million. And so that is half of what the cost that we were proposed initially for this project. And so having that strategic pause, the fiscal impact of $2.5 million of savings because of that that's huge. And the city, we just had mention of Measure C and the negative fiscal impacts of that. From a city standpoint, your role making sure that we can stretch every dollar as far as possible while meeting the needs of the services that we provide as well as the community. This project certainly falls and aligns with all of those things. And so I'm going to provide just kind of a brief overview and some of the highlights of what you're considering tonight, but those are kind of the big points. I'm hoping that your agenda packet page numbers align with the same page numbers that I have. And so if you could move on to page 217 of your agenda packet, which I believe shows the floor plan of this building. Is that what's on your agenda packet? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that's the site plan that we've agreed upon. We don't have renderings of the elevations yet. Once we go into contract with Mobile Modular, they'll be able to go through the elevations as well as what the exterior finishes and interior finishes look like. But this facility itself will house 3 EMS crews or 6 personnel at a time. It's equipped to be able to have that staff there 24/7. The site work includes enough parking spaces for the 6 on-duty personnel and the 6 off-going personnel to all be there at the same time. So they're not having to do the vehicle shuffle at shift change. And then if you move to page 220 of your packet, so a couple pages down there, that shows an exhibit of what the full 3-phase build out of that project looks like. And on there, you can see where the EMS facility is going to sit in relation to the full build out of that project. Waiting for my page numbers to connect or catch up here. But I'm gonna keep on rolling. On page 223, that gives an example of, that building is in Mountain View, and that was a building that was constructed by Mobile Modular. That's one of their projects. That is a very close example of, minus the colors, of what the facility will look like. So similar with regards to the windows and the exterior finishes, the overhangs, and the roof structure itself. And then the next exhibit below that is an example of what the interior finish is. So the cabinetry, countertops, flooring, that kind of thing. In the discussions and within the proposal, we're considerate of the fact that this will be lived in 24/7 by 6 personnel. And so with some of the finishes, we made sure that they were going to be resistant to the wear and tear, and also be something that we can clean easily because of just the exposure that our staff has to all the yuckies at the hospital and in the ambulances and those kinds of things. And so we wanted services that were easy to clean, easy to maintain, and then just a space that was comfortable for our staff where they felt safe and were able to get the rest that they need. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions and provide any other comments that you have.
Just first of all, thank you for your fiscal responsibility. Thank you for your sharp eye. Thanks for working with the council on this as we took, as what you called, a pause in the strategic design and implementation phase. I remember when we had that discussion that, we really need phase one, we need the CMS facility, and you really led that charge. And boy, you did better than I think any of us even thought it would come out. I mean, saving a lot of money for a lot of dough, public taxpayer money, that could be used towards the next phase of this project. We can't forget that we want a fire station eventually, and now it looks like we got $2 million more to put into that. Thanks to this fiscal pen that you've taken to this with a local company. So it really does align with so many objectives of the city council financially and operationally and culturally. Question on the site plan. The building looks like it has one large bathroom and one ADA bathroom. For 6 dormitories, is that bathroom going to be segmented by gender, or how? Is it 2 bathrooms for all that, or is it like one bathroom chopped into different units, or what is that?
So the larger bathroom is the ADA required bathroom. There's a requirement to have one ADA compliant restroom. Both restroom facilities incorporate a shower and sink and toilet. So the larger one of those 2 is an ADA one. Both of them are going to be gender neutral, so they won't have a women's and men's specific restroom. But that does meet the requirements from the building code side. The ratio of restrooms to people is appropriate in alignment with traditional firehouses and tends to meet the needs of what we're looking for. Also, having the personnel are all paired together because they're all assigned to resources together. And so most of the time that building will be occupied by either 1 or 2 ambulances, probably at the most, just because our staff is very busy. And so they're there at different times throughout the day because they respond to calls and that kind of thing. And so we felt that the use of space met the needs of the staff that's going to be housed there. And so I'm certainly satisfied with the design. We've solicited feedback from our crews, and they are all anxious to move in. And so we've discussed, I think, at length the challenges faced at our current facility that we're utilizing and the shortcomings there. And so this facility more than meets the needs. I think it's going to be a nice facility that the city can be proud of. It certainly aligns with what our fiscal capabilities are, and being able to, I think there's a lot of benefits here. And so going forward, I think that this will be a facility that the city will be able to utilize for quite some
In terms
time.
of the install, it does Mobile Modular contract with an installer, general contractor that comes out and looks. I mean, that Mountain View building looks like a building. Looks like they built it, sticks in the air, and it's not necessarily a modular. Is the modular actually done and they just truck it onto site and put on the foundation?
Yeah,
They
so
dig the footings?
So this building will be 4 pieces. Each piece is 12 feet wide and 44 feet length. So they're limited by width by what they can travel down the road. They will do the install, which will be coordinated timing wise with the site improvement plans. They trailer the modulars in. This will be seated on an actual foundation, so it won't be on like the jacks that you see sometimes. And so there's a ventilation system underneath and all of that stuff. But the actual buildings themselves get craned in, they place them, and then once they're stable and joined together, all of the stucco and finishing work will happen on site. And so that Mountain View building that shows, you know, what that looks like as a finished product, and it looks like a building.
Does-
Yeah.
And what's the timeline, start to finish?
So from the time we go into contract to the time that they are ready to deliver is roughly 6 months. And so, it happens very quickly, you know, from how this project has started to finish. This part, like all of the long stuff, I think has happened, and now this is going to happen very quick. And so, on the site plan part, that's already been circulated for the plans check review for the site plan. That's come out with very few comments, and so David's team is working on the construction documents, and so they can get a bid package together for the site work component of that. Part of that will be the coordination effort of the install of the modulars. Mobile Modular is a tremendous group of professionals. This is what they do. And so we've already engaged with them, with David's team, and have ensured that the timing of all of that can happen. And so, you know, that site will have fences that, you know, go around the perimeter for security reasons. And so the timing of how we do this install is important. And so David's team understands the 6-month clock. We discussed that today, that if this goes through, that clock starts ticking and the sand starts pouring through that hourglass. It's going to happen quick. So 6-month time frame. And I think once the finish work happens, you know, I foresee that being maybe a month or two at most. And so I would hope to have our staff operating out of that by the third quarter of this year.
Great. Any other questions?
Just great job, Chief. You know, this is long overdue. I know you hear, I'm on you all the time about it, but again, this is another game changer for the city of Selma. And I just commend you for your hard work and dedication, because you really, you know, hurt us, and we wanted this done, and it's long overdue. So hopefully I'm looking forward, you know, that I'll be able to see this through. So thank you.
Good job there, Chief. You did knock it out of the park there, young man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any public comment? Anybody online or on the phone?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this time.
Bring it back to council. Is there a motion to approve this item?
Make a motion.
Is there a second? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos.
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Moving on now to our next item tonight on the regular business agenda is item 5.2, consideration resolution 2026-04R, adopting a side letter of agreement with the California League of City Employees Association, otherwise known as CLOSIA, regarding the implementation of cell phones for the Public Works Division. Deputy City Manager Fowler.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. The CLOSIA unit got a hold of Human Resources in December and let us know that we had not yet issued cell phones that were agreed to in the current MOU. This is side letter to make sure that we do implement those. We did implement 10 of those today. We will implement the final 7 next week when those employees are on site. And then the part of the side letter is a repayment. Previously, the employees received a $30 monthly stipend, which ceased because of the MOU in December of 2024. We have agreed because the employees did continue using their cell phones to communicate with their supervisors. So we are going to retro pay that as a lump sum in February. And so we will be implementing all the phones though within next week. So we'll cut that any cost to the city, additional cost off at this month.
Thank you. Any questions for Deputy City Manager Fowler regarding this item?
No.
Okay. Anything, does the public have any comment on this? Anybody online or on the phone with a comment on item 5.2?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this time.
Is there a motion to approve
I'll make a
item
motion.
5.2? Caller, is there a second?
I'll second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos?
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra?
Yes.
Mayor Robertson?
Yes. Item 5.3, consideration of resolution 2026-05R, adopting the revised master salary schedule, adding the division chief of EMS non-safety classification to the master salary schedule, and adopting changes to the executive assistant, to the city manager, and minimum wage salaries, in addition to adopting changes, adding the classification of division chief of EMS non-safety to our approved list of classifications, and authorize minor changes to the executive assistant to the city manager classification, including a title change to executive assistant. Deputy City Manager again.
Mayor, members of council, that was a long title. I apologize for that. There's a lot of action in this particular item. To kind of break it down, we have one of our employees that's working, has been working out of classification. And so when we reviewed that classification, it was determined that we needed to make changes to his classification and make him, through the chief, make him more aligned with the battalion chiefs. So that's one of the items. The executive assistant to the city manager, we're simply shortening that title to be an executive assistant. Along with we are moving it up by 1% on the salary chart to make it in line with the senior administrative assistant. That position, when it was created a year ago, it crept up on the salary chart and went over the top of this position. This is the executive assistant should be one of the highest paid administrative assistants in the city. And so we're just aligning that with that position. Also, the minimum wage went up January 1. And so this adopts that minimum wage of 40 cents more, which the state imposes on it. That's gone into effect.
Thank you for your report. So the executive assistant position, so that could be an executive assistant for a number of positions rather than just the city manager, or is that
Correct.
the reason for doing that? Just serve a little broader
Yeah,
purpose?
to be broader, to be able to serve more departments, that type of thing as needed. So that way it's not just specific to one area.
Darn, sorry, city manager.
Yeah.
And then that would be a position that's hourly, not exempt. Is that correct? Per the description?
That is correct. In the current chart, interestingly, it's an at-will exempt position. It doesn't meet any of the qualifications, including the pay category. And so we are changing that to be a hourly position, not at will.
And that position is currently unfilled.
Correct. Although we do have a candidate in background right now. So we have been going through the process of recruitment. The city manager has done interviews and is selected a candidate.
Got it. Okay.
I have a question. I thought we had eliminated that executive assistant position a while back. What happened with that?
I thought we did too. I thought we actually just eliminated the position.
It's in the budget as a budgeted item.
Okay. I mean, I think, there's a lot that the city manager does. There's a lot that not just the city manager does, a lot that the other folks in City Hall do. So it's probably a good position. I'm confident the city manager will tell us that there's nothing for this person to do. I know when we brought up the position of the public information officer and the communications director, I mean, talk about resistance with a previous regime of, oh, that person won't have anything to do. I think Jose Moreno can tell us there's a lot to do. He's busy 24/7 and he doesn't have enough hours in the day for everything he's doing. So, yeah, I think there's a real position.
And you know what,
real
going back
purpose.
to what he was talking about, the executive position assistant was eliminated because of that. The resistance to his position was that he was gonna get too much money. And we said, okay, then we'll eliminate the executive position, assistant position, and there you go. You know, we created more money, you know, that's.
No, sometimes, honestly, Scott, our colleagues here, sometimes you need somebody in an area where you can assist the, city manager in all these, avenues, because sometimes, not everybody has answers, but at the same times, people have to be in meetings and stuff like this, and you need somebody to carry the weight and alleviate some of these, pressures and issues that are come about, because you don't want to impound the workforce. You want to make the workforce work smoothly and more efficiency. That's, I look at these things, and you look at also morale. When you put people under pressure, the morale changes, they become disgruntled, mad. You don't want them to see mad. You want them to be happy. A happy group is a good working group.
Well, and as stated, changing the title and everything allows me to be able to expand that position and not only just assist the
Give you
city
more tasks.
manager's office,
Give you
but
more tasks to do.
but to be able to assist, others that are in need as well.
And then with terms of the office realignment that's going on right now, I saw where the window that used to be open has been covered over now. So will that be turned into an actual office space where that used to be a desk space? Will that be an enclosed office?
Correct.
Yes, when you first walk in, you'll see we're putting in a desk there, so we've enclosed that window. For privacy, and so it had a cutout down the bottom, so when you had conversations in there, you could hear them out in the lobby. And so we took that window out, and then, we have a bookshelf and some other furniture so the executive assistant will be there. So when you come in to see the city manager or city clerk, then that's the first person you'll get to, and then, they'll, let you into their offices.
Got it. And then the other office next to the city managers, will that be subdivided into two offices? Or is that going to remain one office?
At this time, it's probably going to remain one office. They're not large offices over there.
Got it. Anybody with a comment about the executive assistant position? Anybody online or on the phone comment about this agenda item?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this time.
With that, we will bring the matter back to council, and looking forward to everybody getting offices in City Hall who need to have one. So that's be very important. Is there a motion to approve this item?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera,
Yes,
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Item 5.4, consideration of the Downtown Business Improvement District Advisory Board appointments.
Mayor, members of the council, in front of you, you have the 3 applications that were submitted to be a part of the Downtown Business Improvement District Board. We had several appointees expire last year, and these are the 3 that submitted their applications during the window.
Great, thank you. And then are there any other business improvement district appointments that will be coming to the next council meeting as well? Or the council meeting after that? Aren't there a couple that come up next month as well?
Yes, sir. We had 3 appointees expire on the beginning of this year, and 1 expiring in February. So we merged those together. City clerk and I found an open window where we can have all those applications come in at once. So you only have to do it one more time.
Okay, sounds good. And so the people who applied for the bid were previous members, is that correct?
These 3 were previous members, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions?
their application expired, their term expired in October last year.
There were two members that expired in October of last year.
Yeah. My question is, how come we're taking so long to fill these or to, renew these?
Unfortunately, because of the turnover, there was just some prioritization that needed to be done, and this was left off the agenda.
So will their terms, the ones that came up in October, I think we extended the term to 2 years, correct?
So
Will be.
we will be, that's, it's publicly noticed as of last Friday.
For one-
The next meeting, we should have the public hearing, thanks to our city attorney who provided the language, and we have to amend the municipal code, if I'm correct.
Can we retroactively extend the appointments of these folks to 2 years, or will they be 1 year and then their next appointment be 2 years? Okay,
What if they don't want to do 2 years?
that's true. Got it. Any comments from the public about the bid appointments? We have a bid board member here tonight. Do we have anybody online, on the phone?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this time.
Okay, bringing the matter back to council. Is there a motion to approve these 3 candidates for continued membership on the bid?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Call roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos,
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes, and thank you to Ms. Gonzalez, Mr. Sahota, and Mr. Singh for their continued service to our city on this very important advisory board. Item 5.5, consideration of resolution number 2026-07R, establishing a policy for drop-off or pickup of dogs and cats found within the city limits at the Selma Animal Shelter.
Mayor, members of the council, we've discussed the possibility of adopting this ordinance on a number of occasions. And that's specifically in response to complaints we've received that the shelter doesn't accept drop-off or pick-up animals that they are notified are roaming at large or abandoned or injured, have you. And so this resolution adopts a policy for the kennel that any person may deliver or surrender to the animal shelter any dog or cat that's found roaming at large, injured, abandoned, apparently without an owner, disabled, or what have you, can drop that animal off at the animal shelter, or they can summon someone from the animal shelter required under this policy to retrieve animal. It also imposes a policy on the shelter. Once certain conditions are met, must have a properly trained quality animal control officer to respond. Service after hours when the shelter is closed. Establishing that as a policy or actually implementing the policy requires a few things to occur first. First of all, we need to negotiate with the on standby. We have to have sufficient numbers of trained persons properly and I understand that's going to require that you add of it to get it among 3 people. But once those conditions are achieved, once we have an agreement with the that will be implemented.
All right, thank you for that. Council have any questions regarding this policy? Just a comment from me. I've just found that the animal shelter, as Councilman Avalos said, and council members, Oseguera, Mayor Pro Tem, Guerra and I have found they have their heart in the right place. They really do want the best for the animals. But we need more structure there, and we need a policy consistently followed. We've been hearing a lot, and we heard from a member of the public last meeting about policy really not being followed, in that, you know, dogs being returned to where they were found out there, and no public drop-offs. Good ideas on an incidental basis, but not as policy. And not accepting public drop-offs makes the numbers better for the shelter, which is good and what we see. But we've been there, done that. We know that there are numbers, and then there's truth behind the numbers. So I know our director, community services director, who oversees the animal shelter, is looking at the truth behind the numbers. And if there are no public drop-offs, that keeps the numbers low. But that doesn't mean the animal problem is being solved. That those dogs and kitties could be still out there roaming. They could be sick. They're running around, causing potential traffic issues, like we saw this morning on Whitson. I mean, these are real world examples that we're seeing that the animal shelter can really respond to. And I know they will improve, and I know they will under this current leadership. I know they will, they will have better policies, and they will follow those policies. The no public drop off, again, another reason it's just a little frustrating is, or can be, is because, you know, it's kind of an excuse not to accept animals into the shelter. I know it's not meant to be used for that, but no, the shelter should be there to, as the description says, to house sick and stray and abused animals that need to be accepted. And not accepting animals into the shelter subverts the whole purpose of having the shelter in the first place. But in terms of nuances, that doesn't mean people can get tired of their dog and say, I want to, here you go, here's my dog. I'm just going to own or surrender. Nowhere in this policy does it say owner surrenders are permissible. Nowhere. And that's by design. So I think that needs to be clearly stated. I know it's not the easiest thing in the world to ascertain that, but I think that it's incumbent on the animal shelter employees to investigate that as to when those animals are dropped off, that it's not someone's pet. And based on previous experience, we actually had somebody come in with a blind basset hound who was 11 years old, and they didn't like the basset hound because he was too loud at night because he barked. And they asked, could we get a puppy instead of him? And I mean, that's wrong on so many levels. So this is all coming from experience, and most people, that is the rare, I mean, the rare counterexample. But it does happen out there, and I think we just have to be watchful of that as a city and as an animal shelter. Also, in terms of budgetary, we cut $200,000 out of the budget for the animal shelter this year, so there is room for additional funding for the folks who were on call. And again, the ultimate goal is provide better service to our residents and our business owners and our folks in Selma and our animals, make it a better place for our people and for our animal folks.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And we completely agree with that, and we'll continue to work towards that. And then just the actions tonight of the new ordinance and then this policy, if adopted, just gives us more tools in our tool bag to be able to meet those requirements.
Does, very exciting.
And if I may add, I completely understand where this is going and I see the benefit of how we can, do better at the shelter and just adjust our needs for our community. And I just love how you absolutely emphasize the surrender owner. So that is very important. And I've been seeing it with our staff and we've been having those conversations. And so we're actively working on creating internal policies as well as how are we going to identify these animals that come in and make sure that they are stray, right? And that they are within our city limits and not necessarily just found, outside in the country or, being surrendered by an owner. And so we're working towards that. And so we're hoping to better serve our community by doing this. So thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Anybody with any comments from the public?
Ten 57 Mill Street. My question is the intake being used at all? Does anybody know? Intake, when you first walk in to the left. So when we only had 2 employees, because that's all we could afford, and some volunteers, we did it all. And we always had it full. Are you guys also getting any updates on how many animals you have on a report back there? I'm just curious because, when you do get a puppy, you can have parvo, and those dogs were also always put in intake for the 7 days or whatever the days were to make sure they were cleared before they went in the other facility, the bigger facility where all the other animals are. So my question is, and if they do have parvo, are they aware that there's they can get you know they could get medication for that? It's just not just put them down. You can still get there's a chance of still living with parvo. So, but I've always wondered, all these years, what previous council gave to the shelter and hired all these people, over $750,000 of our taxpayer money, and most of the services went downhill pretty badly. But they had very good paychecks that they were able to take home. So just driving today and watching a Rottweiler going after, a senior citizen just going for a walk. It's just, and there's dogs everywhere. And I know it's every town. It's everywhere. It's happening everywhere. But the ACO is a very important process to this. So hopefully we are going to start getting the people in. And when you call, when the citizens are calling and say there's 3 Rottweilers attacking people, they need somewhere to get somebody over there immediately. That's the whole purpose of this. So we're working our way there. The new management's coming. So hopefully we could get ourselves back to giving the citizens of Selma better services for our animals here. You got a council who cares about their animals, and you got a good 80-some% of the citizens of Selma who care for their pets here. So, and that's just a fact. So thank you guys for working on the shelter to be better, especially with that kind of taxpayer money going out the door. Thank you.
Anybody online or on the phone?
Good.
Got another comment?
Mayor, I see no hands raised.
You.
Good evening, Brian Maris. This is absolutely needed. I think going forward with this and also the breeding ordinance, that's gonna bring some really great positivity to the city of Selma because we've been asking for this since the new shelter took place. There was a lot of mishaps, like Ms. Robertson said. We were promised, the skies and the stars with this new shelter, and that's completely went opposite and downhill. Um, I I don't like to be negative, but I do have to call it like I see it because this isn't fair to the animals. This isn't fair to those owners that are perhaps looking for their animals, and this wasn't fair to the taxpayers as well. So this is why we bring awareness and we voice our opinions. So again, thank you, Neil, for working on this ordinance and for this new procedure that's going to go through. Thank you again to the city council because you guys, have been pushing for this, since last year. And to see it come, now into fruition, it's absolutely amazing and we really appreciate it. And, I'm sure the animals appreciate it as well. I do have a question. So what are we doing for as far as, the cold weather? I know it's been like 30-ish degrees. I know we covered the summer, with the sprinklers or what is the misters, thank you. So what are we doing for as far as heating? Do we have heat lamps or anything like that for the animals, or are they being housed inside the facility?
Director.
All animals are being housed inside.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And they put up some more insulation on the west side, so it's capturing the heat a little better than it used to.
Stella Ramirez, Selma, California. I just wanted to add for the record about rabies shots. Maybe that can be looked into. We can find perhaps a volunteer vet that will be able to provide this. So just for the records and see if we can go ahead and add that on as well. Thank you.
Great comments. Thank you, everybody. Bringing this back to council. Is there a motion to approve item 5.5?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Oseguera,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Avalos,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Okay, items approved. We'll move on now to item number 6, future agenda items. Council requests for future agenda items not subject to public comment. Items require a consensus. Councilman Avalos, future agenda items tonight?
Right now at this moment.
Okay, if you think of them, let us know. Councilman Oseguera?
Yes, I would like to see, in future, meetings, whenever possible, to have a report on commissions, how many vacancies we have. And I understand there was a change of people and all that, but, according to the MATI Act, any vacancies in commissions are supposed to be reported at the end of December, by the end of December.
And they're actually posted now. They were posted at the end of December as well.
I never saw that.
Okay, well, they're posted on the website and they're actually posted right outside City Hall as well.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking it as an action item. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
and I would like to put on or reconfirm the purchase of 28 acres, Rockwell Pond. Where are we on that? I know you're
Still working with Fresno on that one.
still working with that. Okay. And then, where are we on costs of the TIs for the tenant improvements for the recreation center? That building across the street, the council toured, the old Selma High School.
I'll follow up with David on that.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Nothing to report yet.
Okay.
Scott?
Yes, sir.
Thought of something.
All right. We'll do a loop and come right back to you.
No, hey, this is very important. I feel it's very important for the city of Selma. We have to develop a plan with with their planning commission, develop a plan for and also the city council, how to develop our city as far as economic growth, as far as traffics, how we're going to fund traffics and roads to get to these certain areas what we call commercial development or retail or residential, because we don't want when I see floral, it's getting a gridlock. We know the problem with floral, and I'm trying to think outside the box. We're going to need some expert help to mitigate these issues, but at the same time, as council up here, we're going to develop a plan for the future of Selma development that way the previous council, whoever down the road, would run into these problems like we're running into right now. The cost factor, money, bridges and roads and Measure C not being there, how to facilitate these issues. So we're going to have to really, I want to have maybe a workshop with some engineering people from the state level, from Moses Stites, who has knowledge in these collaborations, and sit down and have a, a, a meeting of the minds. How do we medicate these issues for the future of Selma? We look at our maps and, you know, I mean, we had David today give a report on engineering, but it's nice to get what's going to happen. But when we get everything done, okay, what's going to happen down this other avenue that we want to, even if properties that want to be sold are going to run on some problems as far as traffic studies and everything like this, or we got to address these issues now before.
So this is an opportune time to do this because as city manager indicated, if we're looking at alternatives to Measure C, I think our funding could be a little more robust and broader than the Measure C proposed by COG, certain members of COG and the T-Parade. Maybe we could look at funding for the planning that we need to have in order to alleviate the traffic problems
Yeah,
of
and
Laurel, not just fixing roads and sidewalks. Everybody wants that.
There's a few different options that, they're planning on bringing back to council. That'll definitely need input. And, there's probably about 3 or 4 different options on ways that we could potentially move forward. And then once we have something set up and tied up to that, then, definitely looking into that long-term plans. That's part of what our general plan is, what our circulation plan is as well. Along with, Yamabe and Horn doing the,
Assessments, huh?
yes, pavement management plan.
Right.
That helps to identify where, funds should be going as well.
Yeah, because, you know, what I'm seeing now, you know, on these, and I don't want, you know, I'm nothing against, I don't want the planning department to be approving a project. Oh, well, we got a problem over here in traffic. You know, it looks good, it fits the area, but okay, we have a problem with traffic. You know, I don't want, and I don't want, that's just it's a lesson in life that I've seen being on the council right now as a new beginning. And I don't want the previous council to face this. And I mean, we're the guys who are gonna lay the stone down, lay the foundation down for the future, for the city of Selma and for the residents and our new, you know, city manager here. He's already hit the ground running already. We're throwing a lot of things at him, but you're doing a hell of a job, by the way. Don't let it go to your head, okay?
My kids keep me, in place.
But, you know, things like that, Scott, you know, I feel that it's important for the residents and the future of Selma growth, you know.
Well, what limited residential growth was the sewer capacity. What's limiting commercial growth is our roads, is our circulation. So, and what better opportunity than now when we are kind of crafting our own response to Measure C, lack of potential funding in November? This is the time. And I mean, the Measure C used to be a means of leveraging $5, $6 of matching grant funds for that. If we could engineer our Measure C to the degree that we could get more matching funds for it, I think that would be really smart because that's how a lot of these big regional projects were accomplished in the past. You put up one Measure C dollar and you get $5 of other funding. We could be really smart about that. I think that would help our future projects.
Because we're kind of getting off into something that really isn't quite agendized, but I know that is going to be agendized on that. I'll just say, we'll be discussing a lot of these options on
Sounds good.
February 3rd.
Is there a consensus for all the agenda items tonight? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to council reports. Councilman Avalos.
No, actually, I went to SKF and Jason we had a meeting with SKF. And Jason, we wanted, introduce Jason to the SKF and Ronica, that way give him updates of what's going on in the city of Selma, in the sewers and what needs to be fixed and what not to be fixed and, insight, Jason was, took his notebook, by the way, too, when I went in the meeting. He did. but that's good. But see, when you have a manager, in the city, the city of Selma new, and he's driving a long ways, but you know what, Jason, I'll give you a high five. Don't let it go to your head, okay? But I also, I attended the dog shelter, unannounced to see how it's facilitating, how it works. And the dog shelter, the people are trying, Scott. I'll be honest with you guys, they're trying very hard and they're doing their best they can. And I commend them. Sometimes you need a little help, but I noticed that when I was there, that we're going to be down the road. We're going to have to buy some washing machines and dryers because they are getting old. But overall, the dog shelter was very nice, clean. The people that I was there, they're walking the dog. The lady was walking the dog. Very pretty dog. It was a lab, by the way. I get but things like that. But we have to really develop I'm an animal. I had animals growing up as a kid, so I can't help it. But that's all I got to say
Got it.
today.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Councilman Oscara.
There wasn't really too much going on. We attended a meeting with Director of Community Services, and we had a meeting about chanclas in the park. No, I'm just kidding. That's what I want to name one, but they don't let me. They're like, oh no. They say that's ghetto, but you know what? There's an event somewhere that's called Chanclas in the Park, believe it or not. So, but anyways, it was a good meeting.
Nice.
We spent some time. Also, Director Moreno was there. We spent some time talking about the event, April 10th. So it looks like we're gonna do country. So hopefully you got your boots shine and your hats and your jeans and be ready to do some line dancing because his wife does line dancing lessons. So she'll be doing them there. So that's all I got.
Great, thank you. City manager and I went out to the transit stop at the Selma Apartments for the elderly. We're going to be having a plaque commemoration ceremony for Terry Serrano. He used to ride the bus all the time. Can't wait for that. City manager proposed some alternatives on making sure that plaque is securely positioned there. And everybody's invited to that. It's going to be very nice. The residents at the elderly apartments, they'll probably also be at the senior prom on Friday. So that's going to be very nice too. Nice to have that for the citizens. We've heard a lot about Measure C tonight. We'll definitely be needing to address that. That is surprising and disappointing. The measure that the COG abandoned Measure C after 12 meetings plus to come up in many subcommittee meetings to come up with a Measure C plan. The fact that it's being abandoned is very disappointing after so much work going into it. But we on the city council, it was going to come to the city council next month for our review. It's not anymore because it's not being pursued. So we will look at Selma City Council, as the city manager indicated, to replace those lost ones. So that's coming soon. Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, I attended the American Legion dinner last night. It was very nice, and I didn't do a whole lot the last 2 weeks. That was pretty much it. So thank you.
Do we have any comments from the public tonight before we go? Anybody online or on the phone with a parting word?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this
All right,
time.
thank you everybody for coming out. Appreciate it, and we're adjourned. And applause. I know, right?